All right, tonight the Gruntpa has finally popped into the virtual bar. Great to follow on Twitter if you're not on that app. Obviously, this is where I find a lot of people that I talk to, but specifically this young man, he's a good one to follow. And I know his name is Gruntpa. You probably can search it and find it, but that's not what your actual at is. What is your actual at?
Well, actual at's terrible.
Does it have
It's bad. It's TH3V0T4RY.
Is that your call sign?
I don't know what that is. No, I mean it was supposed to be there was like this time when I was just like a troll on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean I'm still a troll on Twitter. I shouldn't
not much has changed.
Yeah, to be honest, man. Like yeah, I was like just a gun rights troll. And so I think it was the votary because I was saying that like I was like avowed to like the Constitution, and a lot's changed, right? Like so but yeah, man, like that was what it was. It was the votary, and there was like this whole like hacker elite speak nerdery that I was into, and I thought that was like really cool. There's a lot of regrets now. Like, obviously it's not very cool, and it makes trying to get people like they're like, oh yeah, what's your at? Like I'm like, I don't know. So at least it's a barrier to followers, which have actually turned out to be kind of a pain in the ass. You know, it's like more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, so there's already a few ways I can take it. Before I do that, obviously this is fueled by America's native spirit. It's what gives me the power to interview individuals like yourself. So tonight I selected specifically old granddad 114 because like I just told him, he kind of, you know, I can't remember the guy's name on there. I don't know if I should have looked this up. But anyway, it's an old granddad and it kind of looks like a Gruntpa, right? So it's made by Jim Beam. Like a lot of people think Jim Beam is only made that all they do, that they make a lot of really good stuff. And this is one of them. And usually 20 bucks anywhere you find it. So
yeah, when I imbibed, I think they made my favorite. Don't they do Basil Hayden?
They do. Basil Hayden, yeah. That's not him though. I think that's because Basil Hayden's like belt buckle is what's on the thing that wraps around. I don't know if this is him or not. It might be, but no, that stuff's good.
I don't think it's
a few different new ones since you've stopped drinking.
I know.
They have a Basil Hayden's Toasted. They have a dark rye. They got all Caribbean dark rye. They got all kinds of
2x2. 2x2 was my jam.
What was that?
2x2 is part of why I got sober. 2x2 is like it's a blend between two ryes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So that's why you got sober? Was it just that good, or you just that bad?
I drank a lot of that shit. A lot of that stuff. Like, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't mention. So Gruntpa is sober, and he's drinking a. What is it you have right there?
It's a Estrella Galicia. I don't know who makes it or where it's from. I'll be honest. Girlfriend got this. This is like, it looks Mexican.
So do you drink any of those NA beers that are actually like 0.5?
I do now. I used to not. Like I used to be like a 0.0. Yeah. Like I was like the straight edge kind of nerd about it. And then somebody like brought up a fact. Like there's a whole thing like when you get sober. Yeah. You know, like if you're an alcoholic, like you have these, they actually talk about it. You have these pathways cut into your brain. Like they can actually see them. Like a forensic examiner, like when you're laying on the slab dead, they can cut your brain open and they can see if you're an alcoholic. Because like there's nerves, there's like nerves and pathways that apparently like are present. And so what they tell you when you get sober is they're like, can't drink again, never drink again, don't touch alcohol again. You know, it excites these portions of the brain that you don't want to excite. Anyway, some of this shit is probably bullshit. I'm not a forensic examiner. Don't try to fact check me. That's just what they told me to get me sober. It was probably a lie. But yeah, so they said not to do it. And so like I was on a 0.0. I wouldn't touch any of the NA stuff. And then like I was talking to some old hat and he was like, if you eat like an orange that's like kind of got like a tough peel, like it's a little beyond ripe, it has more alcohol than the NA beer that you're worried about. They're like,
there's alcohol.
Yeah, they're like it's fermented enough that like you don't need to worry about it. It's like it's a little extra.
Okay,
so I'll do all of them now. mostly.
Well, because I still was under the impression that there was no such thing as 0.0 until I met Brink, and he wouldn't order anything unless it was actually 0.0, and he found it.
It's probably my fault. Like I'm probably the one that told him to stay away from it, and I haven't told him. I haven't updated him.
Well, that's what's weird. So, all right, this is gonna probably sound really stupid, okay? But you spent time in Afghanistan and Iraq as well. But when I was in Afghanistan in 2013, 14, we would have poker nights on Friday, all right? Because I wasn't, kicking doors down like you. I was hanging out.
We had poker night too.
Okay, I was hanging out doing staff life with like the division chief of contracting, and he was like our main poker player, but he always would host the events inside the DFAC at NKC, and we would go hard on like, what is it, like the Cronenberg NA or whatever that's French, Cronenberg's French, whatever there's a German NA, but it's like Carl's something. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, this may sound really stupid, but after like 8 months of not drinking and having like a 6-pack of those, you almost kind of convince yourself that it's like poker night with the boys and you're really drinking.
Bro, I've gave a kid in high school one time just straight up margarita mix. He was drunk off his ass. Like,
that's like those dollar margaritas on the
I think there's a placebo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think there's placebo at play there. But I mean, maybe. I drink a lot of NA beers, and I don't feel drunk.
So why do you drink them? Is it because you don't want to completely cut that part out, or because I mean, for the most part, beer doesn't really taste that good.
I don't know. I disagree. I disagree. Yeah, because I like beer. Yeah, I just miss it. Like I do miss it. Like I don't miss the drinking, like being drunk part as much anymore. Yeah, but I miss like the taste. Like cold beer is good. Like if you're outside, you're chilling out with people. There's something about like, I don't know. And maybe it's nostalgia.
Floating down a river with a bottle of bourbon. You don't want to do that. That's
no. But that's tell you, bourbon's the one thing they haven't been able to do. I've got a fake tequila in there. I've got fake gin. I got like candy cigarettes, like for days for fake alcohol. But I don't have like any. They can't do bourbon. They can't get it right.
Well, Trevor tried to talk me into trying this with him. Like he's like, hey, would you try this with me? I was like, absolutely not, because I don't. And I've seen them. I haven't tried them. You've tried one, like the fake.
Tried them.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like. So the problem is they try to do the burning taste. Like the burn the alcohol has. They try to replicate it, but they use like peppercorn. Oh. And like it's like they put like it's like capsaicin. It's not the same burny feel. And so for something like a margarita, like the fake margarita stuff that I've got, like this tequila, I mix it with some like Trader Joe's habanero limeade and stuff, and I'm like, this tastes like a straight up margarita. Because the pepper's supposed to be there and the burny is still there, and it like, you can almost convince yourself. But the bourbon, I mean, God help you if you try to do it neat. Ugh, it's not good. It's just not good. It's just not good. There's nothing that's going to replace it. I've had to accept it. It's casualty of war.
Yeah, and then that's so. I've experimented with this before, and then I really kind of like, all right, it's not really a hypothesis anymore. It's kind of a bourbon law. That the last time I was at like the Napa distillery about a year ago, and he called this way of tasting it like whiskey yoga, right? So what creates the burn is essentially like you mixing the air in your mouth with the alcohol as you drink it, and that creates the burn. But if you blow out and then slowly sip, you won't get a burn on anything. And I've done that enough. Every proof that I don't like. And I mean, the burn doesn't bother me, but I can see what you're saying. Like you can't really replicate that.
Every
alcohol. Yeah. Right? So if you're trying to do it chemically, it's probably gonna taste awful, and it's not really a burn you really want. Because you do have the Kentucky hug.
No,
right?
I mean,
just like the slow feeling as it goes down, right? But yeah, you can't really replace that.
No.
What about the flavor?
No, it is.
Is it awful? Or is it?
It's not good. No, it's not good. It's not the same. I mean, I think they try to soak it in old casks or something. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's not. It just doesn't do it. It's okay. Like I said, like
Yeah.
give this shit up. So what happens? Let this be a lesson to all the kids here. You know, like don't abuse shit because then you'll overdo it and you won't ever get it again.
There we go. All right. So that's going to wrap it up tonight. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, we had to end on a lesson.
Yeah. All right. So I did some homework. I know you've done a few of these podcasts over the last couple of months, maybe the last year or whatever. And I don't want to rehash them on. I don't expect people to know them. But if they want to hear more of you, you can just search Gruntpa on any podcast site and you'll find something. All right. Or you'll find these other appearances. But I did realize after I was making all these notes, there's really something I kind of wanted to talk more with you about at some point via Twitter, and we just never did. And I remember I texted you about it and you're like, okay, well then don't. And I was just like, he's got me in that moment. Because one of the cool things about Gruntpa is he's not just like, it has to be this way or it's not, like, depending on your views. Like you play a good contrarian role on times. Sometimes maybe I think just to kind of make people fact check themselves, right? But there was one thing that you still you seem pretty serious on, and that's, I don't know if it's necessarily the word invasion, but maybe you want to absorb Mexico.
I want to invade Mexico.
You want to invade? All right, good. Okay. Why?
So I mean, a lot of our problems with Mexico is because of Mexico just being so bad. Like, I actually just finished a book that talks about like the narco state. You know, it covered the company or Los Zetas and talked about how they came from like the Gulf cartel and the Sinaloan cartel and you know, how they influence elections, how Mexico's politics has been so bad. You know, they're coming off a one-party system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up in Texas and I like Mexicans. I just do.
Well, I love Mexicans, but I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, I do want a border. But yeah, I mean, look, we can do our best at the border, but until like that country has a functioning government that takes like that operates in the interests of the people versus the cartels, they're never gonna make it. Now, there's a fatal flaw. There's many fatal flaws to my plan. Like, I get it. Like, I totally get it.
Let's start. Who's gonna command this war?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
See, I get where you're coming from. Hey, let's just send the 82nd and do everything. You probably could. However, we have a whole bunch of other issues above that level, right? And that's and then
I mean, independent. That's an independent thing. Yeah, I mean, I like to solve one problem at a time. So like one of the problems with Twitter is that like you'll say something like, "We need to invade Mexico," and people be like, you know, the army's bitch made now, and nobody can do a single pull up or whatever. And you're like, okay, that's a different problem. I agree, that is a problem. You focus on that problem. I'm gonna talk about Mexico over here. You talk about how nobody can do a pull up.
Leg tuck.
You know, leg tuck. That's what it is. That's leg tuck. But I know. I mean, yeah, there's that problem. But yeah, I mean, we waste a lot of money, you know, in wars abroad, much further off for people who, you know, are never truly gonna help us. Whereas like Mexicans are like right next door. You know, if we're going to be overthrowing governments for the benefit of people, we should maybe stick to our hemisphere.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so that's fair, right? Stick to the hemisphere. I like that. Should we do Canada next?
I mean, what do we get? So like Mexico's full of oil. Yeah, Mexico's full of oil and good food and attractive women.
Food,
and
hot women.
Yeah, they've got a lot of things I think are useful. What do they get? The Canadians? I mean, they don't even occupy their own country. Like, have you ever seen a map of the population distribution of Canada? It's embarrassing. This needs to go in the show notes, because like you could see like there's just this narrow band of population in Canada, and it's just hugging the United States. Like as tight as they can get it. They don't want anything to do with their own country because it's cold as shit and there's nothing up there. It's fucking trees and polar bears.
Vancouver's nice, and Montreal sometimes.
I mean, but don't those cities, like, I mean, look, man, people are gonna make fun of me probably here too, but like, I don't think they're that far away from the U.S. Like, they really don't venture away from the United States. They talk all kinds of shit, but I mean, they are within a rock's throw of America. Pretty much every Canadian.
That's true.
I'm not kidding. Alaskans live further away from the United States.
That is a very good point. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason we have Alaska. I got it, but. So California, in my opinion, is nothing. Well, Mexico, it's like an extension of California, right? Like if you look at the terrain, kind of how it looks, better weather probably since you don't have the northern part. But I've seen enough Narcos, right? I've seen all of them, so I'm basically a Mexican expert,
right?
Dude, yeah. No, like honestly, Mexico, like the reason I never wanted to go to Mexico, I remember there was like a graduation trip after high school. It's like, oh, let's go to Cabo or something. When it comes to tourism, I don't want to do the tourist things. Like if I'm going to go see a country, I want to see the actual country. And I'm not going to lie. The main reason I haven't gone to Mexico is I am a fucking afraid.
That's smart. Like, but that's part of the problem, right? Like let's make Mexico. Let's bring peace to that place. Chill out.
Because it does look like an absolutely beautiful country once you get off the.
Gorgeous.
You know what I mean? It looks amazing. It looks like California.
Yeah, I mean, and it's actually geographically it's pretty diverse. You know, people imagine it's just like northern Arizona, but like, I mean, they got jungles and shit. Like, it's the biggest pyramid in the world. Like, got a lot of cool stuff going on in Mexico. You can't see any of it though. You get your head cut off.
Yeah, I don't want blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't want my head chopped off.
We could go to Afghanistan right now. Me and you could get on a plane, go to Afghanistan, walk around, probably be all right. I'll be honest, man.
I don't know about the all right part. You, baby, you've got some dark features. I stand out, man. That's definitely everyone that I can about the Middle East and how I would love to go back. However, for most of the parts, I can't really feel comfortable going because I don't really look like anyone other than the guy with blonde hair and light eyes.
You're a little Nordic for Afghanistan.
It's a beautiful country as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I still think I'm just talking about like maybe Afghanistan's not totally safe. It's still safer. It's safer than Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, we could fly into Kabul and walk around like Tim Kennedy and hand out 511 tactical stickers, right? I mean, we could do that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. I don't want to, but I actually enjoyed my time in Afghanistan. I don't know about you. You probably did a much.
I hated Afghanistan.
Right. That's okay.
So, I loved Iraq. I hated Afghanistan.
Yeah, so that's a point. Okay, we're not going to solve Mexico, but I do remember you saying that. Why was I think the way you said a little bit of this to your son, right? Like you got in trouble for this. Did you?
I mean, sort of, because like my son asks questions at like times that aren't appropriate, you know. And so like, and he likes to ask me things like, do you like this country? Do you not like this country? And so like he's asked me about, you know, somebody, like I think his mother told him that I was in Iraq and then I was in Afghanistan, and so kind of got into that region for a little bit. And for a while he's like, do you like Afghanistan? I was like, no. And he's like, do you like Iraq? And I was like, yeah, I like Iraq. And he says, do you like Pakistan? I was like, hell no. You know what I mean? Like, hey, fucking Pakistan, we're sorry, Afghanistan. And so one day we're in an Uber, like we're in DC or something.
Where all the drivers come from that area.
And this dude's like talking, and you know, my son, he can't help himself. It's like, you know, was he speaking in English? Because the guy had like a thick accent, and the guy was like, yeah, actually I speak like 6 languages. And so like me and a girlfriend are like, you know, we're trying to make my son culturally literate. We're, you know, making small talk, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm from Pakistan. And my son's like, Dad, you hate Pakistan. I love it. Just like, I was in the back like that. It was rough. But yeah, I mean, I didn't like Afghanistan. I just didn't. It was the most foreign place I'd ever been. And I was younger, didn't appreciate it. Plus, like,
did you go there first, or did you go there before Iraq?
I went there before Iraq. I went there in like 2005, and I was only there. Should I point out, I was only there for like 6 months. So the first elections for Afghanistan were in 2005, and so my battalion got like a very short notice deployment to just go cover them. And so we had to build our own fob and Maiden Shar, and it sucked. I was in Advon for that. So I didn't get a shower for 28 days. Like I was in fucking I was in fucking S2, as you can see behind me. I was not a happy guy. I was not living my infantry dream in Afghanistan. I was falling around a THT, trying to keep them from getting in trouble, trying to keep the girl on there from sleeping with everybody in the battalion. Like it's not my favorite deployment. Like it was not that much fun. And then because I was working with THT, like and that's tactical human team for people.
Yeah. That's the one.
And so I was and so I was just
acronyms. I'm like, oh, I don't know that one. I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah. So like I was in that. So like it's a long story how I got in S2, but like I was in S2 and I wanted to get out of the wire. Like I didn't like being a pogue, and so we got a THT, and they were just woefully unprepared. Like they didn't know how to do anything, and the line companies, weren't using them the right way. And anyway, so I kind of got to be like this liaison between THT and the companies, helping the LTs do all the so they don't have to do their intel reports and shit. So I'd go out with them. And just all the folks we talked to, I mean, they didn't use THT. Like it was a lot of, it was kind of like how, like in Iraq, like neighborhood advisory council stuff, like NAC meetings. I don't know if you know anything, but like
it was all good idea fairy, but no one knows what to do.
Yeah, it was like we're just gonna go meet with this warlord, and we're gonna just give him some money, and so he can use it as wasta, and we're just gonna get really fed up with how they don't do shit and don't want to go on patrol, and none of their dudes want to show up to muster except for payday. And I don't know, man, and like I just didn't dig it. And the heat was different. Like I felt like it was just
not city. What area were you in, I guess?
So I was in Maiden Shar. So it was like RC East. Like we had a piece of Wardak, Logar, Ghazni, Paktika, like that whole part there.
Well, that explains
and
why
it was
like Pakistan either.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Were you there? Did it overlap in the winter at all when you had to deal with like?
No, man. I pulled out before the snow hit. Like I went in. I think we went in like what would that be, July? We went in July, and I was out by like November or something. Like I got out early.
So you had the fighting season, and then you missed the off season, I guess, right?
There wasn't even any fighting. Like I'll be like, I'm telling you, we got
well, that was like,
huh?
I mean, I guess that's because it was so, like, there was a ton of fighting, I think, initially right after post 9/11, right? And then there was kind of like, all right, the Taliban's gone, but they're not. And they're just going to figure out when they come back. So probably like when you were there, I don't think things really kicked off in Afghanistan until we switched uniforms, right? And when I say switched uniforms, let's get rid of that's kind of
we were the first unit in ACUs. Like we were the first one issued ACUs in theater. And
I still don't
like we had
that pattern. Like all your pictures, you have great pictures, but it's like, man, it sucks that they're all in ACUs. I know. It's the worst pattern in military history, probably
some dude
military history, with the exception of now the South uniform in Civil War. I thought looked awesome, but even that one, it's like you're wearing gold. Like, come on, what do we do? I don't
think that through. But no, like somebody roasted me really well one time on Twitter. It was like dude, like they were like, dude had like glamour shots following around Twitter, and I was like, damn, like, because it's true. Like I got a lot of photos. There's the whole story behind that. But yeah, the Afghan elections, like, it wasn't shit. We had some companies that were like getting hit occasionally, but like they'd really have to try. Like they'd bait them out. Like we had a lieutenant who was a SF enlisted man, went warrant, then went to OCS or green to gold or something, and then went back, and he couldn't go. You can't go to selection as an officer, or wait, you can't go back to group as an officer. You have to go through selection again as an officer. And so like he had to go do line time, and so we ended up getting like 3 of these. Like in fact, Castro, the guy who's like so badly wounded that everybody talks about, like he was in my unit when he got wounded, like in Iraq later on, but but yeah, we had these green beanies like kicking it with us as lieutenants. And this one named Williams, like he would go to the cops with a map and he'd be like, hey, we're going on a patrol like here and to here, and we're going to be traveling this road. We're going to be leaving in about 3 hours. Like he would tell them everything, and it was so that like, because that was the only way you could gin up action. Like,
just trying.
Like
okay.
Yeah, he was just trying to get ambushed. And so yeah, there wasn't shit. I mean, there really wasn't shit. Like, just a lot of President's Patrol, like going around, like handing out soccer balls and radios and shit.
How did elections go? How did that go for you? Like,
I mean,
that
I don't know. So,
were you? That's what I was saying. Did you have any like oversight of how the election process went, or was it just kind of like
I didn't.
During elections?
No, I mean, we visited like election like areas. They'd have to go to like their little, I don't know, their little precinct capitals and things to vote, and they get their little finger dyed and all that. But they were just voting to.
Why we don't do that?
Democracy here? Over there doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of like it's sort of like the electoral college without all the steps.
Yeah.
Like
you
were told
if they wanted democracy, they probably would have thought of it by now. You know what I mean? Like
they've been around for a while.
Yeah,
like if it occurred to anybody, would have they? I mean, they met Alexander. Like I'm pretty sure he told him about Athens.
They did.
Like he might have mentioned it. Like, hey, but like we fucked them up too, guys. So like
we're good.
It's a stupid idea. But yeah, I mean, we were there for that. I got my CIB, but technically didn't earn it. I'm always like on the open about it. Like,
well, I think see, I've done enough rants about military awards on these. Like they for the most part, 99% of them don't really mean anything.
Like, I mean, I would have technically got my CIB later.
Yeah, I mean, right.
But not
like, because I mean, there are very actual cases, right? But then for the most part, a lot of these get handed out like blanket awards or, well, hey, these 3 guys were in an area when something happened, so let's get the whole company in, and we've kind of reduced awards to where like unless it's like a silver star or above, like it doesn't really mean anything. Like bronze stars, they're an absolute joke, and they shouldn't be. Like my grandfather in Korea, like that's a real fucking citation, and it kind of jerks at your strings a little bit. But then I see, like when I was in Afghanistan, when my CG comes in and is like, hey, I know we're like 2 months into a 9-month rotation, but 40% are getting bronze stars and the rest are getting outcomes. And it's up to you as NCOICs to figure it out. Oh, by the way, awards are due in 2 months. It's like, all right. Well, that makes it just comes stupid, right? It becomes like it's a rank award. It's like whatever you were there for. And if you had this rank, then you got it.
If the military didn't promote on it, we wouldn't have these incentives, right? Like if they actually just promote people who could lead and had potential rather than what it said on their records jacket, their ERB, then they wouldn't be chasing all this bullshit. But it is what it is. Like every game is going to get players. Create a game, you create players.
Yeah, that's why I said like I feel like things got really bad in Afghanistan right around like the withdrawal we did in Iraq. And it's funny, like remember the guy I was telling you we played poker with, like he was telling us stories about once the order came in to withdraw from Iraq, because he was in charge of all of contracting, like they were taking brand new F-150s off the boat in the port in Kuwait and just running them through a shredder because they weren't going to use them. They didn't have a use to issue them to them, so they would literally like, well, we can't send them back or here, so let's just like the amount
couldn't put gas in the motherfuckers now anyway. We don't have any gas.
Well, that's what I thought was funny. Like when I just talked to Dev, like I talked to him like a year ago, and we're like bitching about gas being $250. And now it's like, oh shit, now it's $650.
You said outside your office or whatever. It's like $670.
That's God, so dumb. It's so dumb, man. So all right. And okay, so but what was it about Iraq that you liked over? Is it because the mission was different? Like you felt like you actually did what you joined the military for? I mean,
and I just
said that you did say like, because let's not be, even in Kabul, like, all right, I know it's a huge city, but it doesn't look like Baghdad, right?
It's the most depressing place I've probably ever been. I've never seen any people as poor as like I did in Kabul. Like it is depressingly poor. Like those hillside shanty towns, shit. Like and just the banal cruelty that Afghanis have for each other. I mean, look, the only place I've ever been where people will just disregard poor people like that, or San Francisco, like New York City. You know what I mean? Like only in a place like that would you just step over a man die. Like, and just not even think about it. Kabul was rough. I didn't like the moon dirt. Moon dirt was a big part of my life for that 6 months. Like I didn't have a shower, also didn't have a place to sleep. I didn't get to sleep in a vehicle until the second week. We finally got enough vehicles there and I could sleep in the vehicle. And that's not very comfortable, but at least was shelter from the moon dirt. Like I had moon dirt everywhere. I hated it. Like I was just, in like kind of moon dirt that like only people who've been there know, like the talcum powder, you step in big puddles of moon dirt almost, like and the air bubbles up, like actual air bubbles around your foot, like
but see, that's
moon dirt like that.
I felt that was all around the surrounding Baghdad airport was nothing but moon dirt. So like when I was
maybe
a 2-year-old, I was like, this is probably where they faked the moon landing, right here. Like that's how I felt.
I didn't get it. In fact, I had 2 Iraq deployments technically. Really, they were just one long deployment. And we can talk about that maybe later. But, my 2 deployments were mud and canals, and Baghdad, like Baghdad proper, like Baghdad city, Baghdad. And so, yeah, it wasn't the same. Wasn't as much suffering in the train. And Iraqis are actually, like, despite what people think, Iraqis are actually a fairly civilized people, somewhat, right? Like, whereas like the Afghanis, I felt like I was talking to Comanche that just had cell phones. They were just ruthless people. Like, I don't know. I just didn't get them. I didn't understand them. I didn't feel like I was talking to somebody that was being honest with me. I didn't think they gave a shit. Like, until if I wasn't bringing money, they didn't care. All they had is problems.
But why do you think that is though? Like for a culture that's been around for so long, like a people that have been around for so long, they've seen so much. Why do you think they've never moved past that mentality, especially towards their fellow man that's there?
I don't know. You can't. It's just too remote. It's just remote. Like that was the other thing is like there's no way to even create infrastructure there. Like especially with them working on it. Like you've got the one ring road,
right? But that's not. How have they not thought of like
they don't want it.
No, they've met Alexander. Like they haven't. It's not like they've not been exposed to some.
Just don't want it.
They
just don't want it. Like I don't know. Sometimes I don't blame them. Like they don't have.
No, that's true. Like I think you said something about that earlier this week, where it's like, wow, we're starting to get to that point where we have more in common with the Afghan goat herder than we do like some of the people in our own country, right? Because you just want to be left alone.
You're not going to be. Yeah, I've given up on the you're going to be left alone thing. Like they're not going to leave anybody alone. But yeah, I just like there's something to be said about like they kind of there's some definite problems, right? Like they take it too far, like too far. Like,
and then we go to the Iraq, right? So I think you bring up a good point because I remember I was only in Iraq once, and I was 03 to 04, but I was there 16 fucking months.
That was a spicy time though.
Well, it got spicy, right? Because the invasion was one thing, but then we kind of didn't really do much for a few months, and then I remember like I was on the third.
You weren't in the invasion. You were at the tail end of the invasion.
Yeah, I was at the tail. I wasn't doing any of the fucking.
Oh, okay. That's what I meant by spicy. Yeah, no. I've always been jealous of the invasion guys because when I ended up in like my battalion, like they were. In fact, the day I showed up was the day before they got back from leave from being in the invasion, and they all came back like shithouse rats. Like they were fucking crazy. I got thrown out of a second-story window in a black fucking fart sack. I'm not kidding. They fucking threw me out of a second-story window in a sleeping bag. Like
that sounds like I drill sergeant school where guys threw one of the instructors out of a 2-story window after a mount training site. That was fun. But they were Rangers.
Put hair on your chest.
Well, no, because like secured Iraq or secured Baghdad, right? And then I remember at the end of April, early May, I was on the third like R&R flight where it was still like a big deal. You fly back into BWI into Baltimore and everyone's acting like you just won the fucking Super Bowl, right?
Right. Yeah.
I was flying back I was leaving out of Orlando on November 3rd. And on November 2nd, one of the soldiers in my unit was on a helicopter that got shot down over Baghdad. And I was like, wait a minute, why are we having helicopter shot? I thought this whole shit was, and that's kind of like from that moment on, like the insurgency was on. And that all ties back into my hatred for Paul Bremer because it was all his fucking fault. So fuck that guy.
I'm going to give a little bit of credit to my alma mater for the insurgency.
Oh, yeah?
In fact, yeah, if you read that book, Fiasco, I can't remember who wrote it, but it's the one about the Iraq War. Mm-hmm. They attribute the start of the insurgency to the day that Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, decided to go cyclic on a school, a protest at school about gas or something. And somebody spotted a gun, and yeah, I mean they lit the crowd up, and it was no es bueno.
Was that before or after Paul Bremer was like, yeah, I know we have 400,000 Iraqi soldiers here, but we don't need you. You guys are no longer allowed to play army or ever participate in the country going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bad move. Yeah, I think it was like concurrent with that. Like, when they shut out the Baathists.
Yeah. I mean, let's just shut off 2/3 of the country. It seems like a good idea.
And the only part that knows how to control any of the administrative functions.
Exactly.
Right? Like the only class of people who actually know how things work. Like, no, I mean, the whole thing was a fiasco. I mean,
yeah, it was. And that's why, like I said, well-intended promises of being home before Christmas in 2003 turning into 4 extensions because shit just got out of control. Like that's kind of how things went. But what year did you show up for the party?
I went to Iraq for the first time in 2006. For summertime again. I think it was same month, I think it was July again. Yeah. So like my unit, so in between, all right, so we got back from Afghanistan. I think it would be like 7-8 months later. I was like on my way out. I was going to go back to SWIC. And I was kind of like not feeling it. And they had, because I was an E5, I had a CIB I didn't earn, like some rockets flew over my fob. And so I was like, man, I can't go to group and tell everybody I got the CIB for this bullshit. And I'd gotten out of S2. I'd went to a line company and they said, like my buddy from that was still in S2, he was the actual Intel guy. Yeah. And he came and he was like, it's like, don't go. I was like, why? And he's like, bro, we got a mission. Like, we got a cool mission. And so we were the first regular Army infantry battalion to be pulled by JSOC to do the torch mission set, which was, it sounds cooler than it really is. But the best way to describe it is we were to stir the battle space. So what would happen is like units would be in bad spots, like they'd get kind of bogged down, couldn't get out. They'd know, the insurgents would know to ID the shit out of all the roads, slow them down, bog them down, not let them out, just beat them back into their fobs. Right. And so what we would do is we'd do air assault in. We'd camp out for 3 or 4 days, just raising a ruckus, just pissing everybody off. And what would happen is the SIGINT off of that would, like, it'd churn the SIGINT. And then all the special rainbow units affiliated with the very special boys would just come in and just murder these guys. And so it was super effective. I mean, we got I think a Valorous unit citation. We did a lot of work. It was fun.
Glamorous version of your LT up in Afghanistan, who would tell everybody you were coming.
It was like that. Yeah.
A little more glamorous.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they would give us some like tier 2 kind of targets like the first night. So, we'd come in and we'd hit those places hard and fast. And then after that, we would just like slow roll through villages, just pissing people off, just starting shit. intentionally. And these weren't the parts of our, I mean, this was the Triangle of Death or whatever. Like this was the Yusufia area of operations. Like, so yeah, I mean, we did that for a while. And so, yeah, I didn't want to go back to SWIC. I did that and ended up getting like a Red Cross message. And so I went back early. I went back 2 weeks before everybody else. I had to bury my grandfather. And so we did that. I was on rear D, playing like Xbox 360 or whatever. The dudes came back, like I was with the FRG, like kicking up signs, like welcome home, boys. Like, and it was at that moment that they called the surge. And so Big Army was like, where the fuck you been? And we were like, oh man, we just did this cool thing for, JSOC. Like, we're so cool now. I'm like, fuck you, man, go get a haircut and see you in Baghdad. And so like 9 days after we got back, like the signs at Green Ramp over at Pope were still up, like welcome home. And people were like loading back on birds.
Was like when you really go back, like I know you joke about it now, right? And it is something to kind of like only people who experience crazy shit like that will find humor in that. But if like someone's literally just a layman reading this, like how could you literally do that to these fuck, like they weren't doing it to like dudes who were just hanging out not doing shit. Like these were you guys were the ones actually doing all the fucking fighting. And they're like, yeah, I know you just been back for, I don't know, 9 days or whatever you said, but yeah, you got to go back. Like, seriously, what strategy, where does that make any sort of fucking sense? And that's what I think you talked about this, right? Like you may have talked about it with Hush. It's just like the Army may say it's about the soldiers first, but it's really not. It's all mission all the time, no matter how.
Well, they famously say mission first. I don't agree with that principle.
Right.
Like, no, because in my experience, there's a fucking mission tomorrow.
Oh, right,
there's a mission a week from now. There's always another mission. To me, it's people first. Like, but yeah, I mean, they give a shit. Like what is what's the Army motto? Like Joe's getting over. Fuck Joe. Like, right? Like fuck Joe. Like that dude, what's he done for me today? Yeah. Like, I don't care about him. And I remember, like, I mean, people were butthurt. We had dudes going AWOL. I had a kid run off to Canada and shit, which people try to kill themselves. Like, I mean, try to kill themselves. They weren't really trying to kill themselves. But going to mental health, I mean, and they had, some of them had reasons anyway, but like they were definitely, like, it exacerbated a lot of issues. Like, there was a famous speech.
Dudes can't get pregnant. Never mind. Anyway, go ahead. I said it, so you didn't have to. Anyway.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you enjoy the woke patrol. Yeah, I mean, we had this like famous speech by our company commander. I love this guy. I mean, everybody talks shit about West Pointers. Like, yeah, I had a fucking badass company commander. He was my company commander, both tours of Iraq or the single tour, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he was fucking great. He's a little aggressive, even for my taste, a little aggressive, a little nuts. But he had this like famous speech when we got, because we were at Taji, which if anybody's ever been to Taji it might be the grossest place I've ever, besides sleeping. I would rather go back and sleep in the moon dirt than me at Taji. They had us in like a literal like landfill, like wasteland of like tank parts. And I mean, it was awful. Like you could like dig a hole like 6 inches and it'd fill with like oil, like used motor oil. It was just gross. Like, the whole fucking thing was gross. We had dead birds in our ceiling and shit. Like, they had these, like, they weren't even barracks, like they were these like open air barns, and because of the surge they weren't prepared for it. And I guess like and I guess like what they were thinking is like, shit, we got to use these, like, oh, we got those buildings over there, we'll just we'll put some bunk beds in there, we'll call it a barracks. And like, I guess like 2 days before we got there, they were like, somebody finally went to look at these barracks, and it was like a roost for like hundreds of pigeons and shit. And so instead of being like, oh, we got to call this off, they're like, we're just gonna murder the pigeons. So it's just like fumigated the fucking pigeons, but didn't move them or anything. Like, just left the whole like, I mean, whatever. Like, I wouldn't call it an attic, but like the whole space above, just full of dead birds and shit. Like, dudes were getting sick, didn't know why. Like, and yeah, like everybody's like morale's in the shitter, and like company commander pulls everybody out. And like, I loved the speech because it was like just like the perfect infantry captain speech. And he's just like take a look over there, and like, And like, you know, everybody's like, and he's like, no, fucking look over there. It's like everybody turns and he's like, look down at your feet. It's like everybody looks and he's like, that shit over there, that's in Iraq. Your feet are in Iraq. You're in fucking Iraq. Get over it. Like, just fucking quit crying. Like, there isn't shit you're gonna do about it. There isn't shit I can do about it. You know, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't fucking Spartacus or anything, but it like kind of helped because you're just like, yeah, I mean, what the fuck? Like, here we are. Like, we're just gonna do it. So I'm doing it.
So
that was like 11 months.
God, the fucking surge. Jesus. Because I was like, well, was that still 06 or 07?
That was 07. January to November again.
Okay, yeah, kind of went on for a while because 08 I went to drill sergeant school, and 09 I was at Benning, and they took all the infantry dudes out, or anybody who was a line guy, they took them all out and sent them to Iraq because the surge was continuously ongoing. It was like a 3-year surge.
It was it was an interesting time.
It really was. It was even more interesting when you're, you know, I don't understand. Like when I go back into just that time period, I'm sure there's probably a million fucking books and white papers and all kinds of shit in there about it. But still, like when you just talk to people like yourself or others who went through it, it's like, who was like, yeah, this is a good idea. Like,
I'm that guy.
Yeah, because
look, man, I've caught so much shit, especially from the libertarians on this. Because look, I get it. All right.
Murder cult.
They lied. Well, yeah, like they lied or whatever. And like we're supposed to be like forever angry. Like I get it, and maybe we're all dumb. I was dumb. I'll admit it, probably dumb now.
I was dumb as fuck. I was gonna get into that.
I liked again, I kind of believed in the mission when I first got to Iraq, especially on the surge. And I was like, these people do. I mean, I was there every day and had them telling me. It wasn't like it was unsolicited. Iraqis would tell us like, thank you. And especially in where I was, because it was like Shia dominated. I was in Kadamia. And so like they fucking hated Saddam. Saddam was a brutal dictator and they were happy as a pig in shit to have us there. And we're snitching on even the Jaysh al-Mahdi who were their dudes. Like they wanted a free and good government just like anybody else, and they were civilized. And I mean, except for the part where they were murdering each other in the streets, but I mean, they had some legitimate beef. Like there's some fucking legitimate problems over there. Like
sometimes, right?
I mean, I'm just telling you, like you fucking abuse like the majority of the population for 40 years. There's going to be some bad blood. Just like let that be a message to people who might need it. Like
who might need it.
So like it was just I don't know, man. I saw the surge and I was like, and we were getting after it. I mean, we, my unit, because of what we had done in the previous deployment, like we got one of the special, I don't know, man. One of the little SIGINT teams basically that was helping us do TSTs. So like my unit was one of like, I want to say like 8 or 10 in Baghdad proper who were given the TST mission profile. So it's like the time sensitive target stuff. So, we had our own company and battalion level intel. Like, we had our own little fusion cell or whatever. We were doing our own hits and stuff organically because, anybody that we would detain, we had 24 hours before we had to push them up the DHA. And so we had our own cell and we were getting after it. We were getting tip line stuff. Like, we pacified our area like that. And but this TST thing, like, we'd keep one unit on standby like all night, every night. And they'd wake you up at like 2 a.m. and they'd hand you a piece of paper and have somebody's name, maybe a picture, usually not, 20-meter lock where they are, what they did to get on the list, who they think they are within the group and the organization. And like you and, what other squad leaders and the PL would just create like a snap mission, just like a hasty raid. You'd go in and, figure out order of movement and cordon and just do a hard hit. You'd be there. You'd be time on target within like an hour. It was legit. It was fucking fun.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But the only thing I hear as you're telling those stories,
How many terrorists I made?
no, I mean,
Probably made way more terrorists than I put the deep.
yeah, well, I mean, like that's a natural byproduct, right? Which is why I always used to say, like, it was Iraq was supposed to be like a generational thing. Like they were supposed to, over time, see that, hey, America's a good guy. Maybe we should try and be more like that. But I don't think it
Hey, they're
worked.
better off now. I don't care what anybody says. They're better off now than they were.
What I guess my question is that, especially when you say you had like your own independent little fusion cell, and all, like when you were there, like, did you ever have? Because we sure as hell didn't, like, the American people sure as didn't know. Like we saw 20 years of this play out also in fucking Afghanistan. But was there ever, hey, here's the why, like this is why, this is what we're trying to achieve, so we can stop doing this fucking shit and having a surge fucking year, like you need to do this, like was there ever an end state that was kind of either perceived or otherwise known?
Yeah.
Just like, no, we're just gonna until we go home.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I don't know. Again, I had a good unit. I feel like a lot of people's experiences vary because like they were in a shit unit, shit officers, shit NCOs, you know, unmotivated motherfuckers, like just felt sorry for themselves, want to go home, eat fucking cheeseburger, fuck the wife, like, and that's, I mean, I get the motivation to be that way, but like, you know, yeah, I mean, we had it, like you know, we were getting IED, we were like, fuck it, we're not driving around, like we're walking. So like we walked, like we had a rule, you couldn't drive a Vic longer than 1 kilometer. If you drove longer than 1 kilometer, you had to fucking VDO. Like you could not drive around. Like you had to get out and walk. All our shit was dismounted, all 11 months. Like the only time we would go past kilometers is a TSD rate. And that was just because we were going usually into some National Guard or POD units, AO, because they weren't handling business. And so like, yeah, I mean, and we were taking the IA out. I mean, and we got legit IA somehow. I don't know how the fuck it happened, but they like sheet dips from Peshmerga and like just threw the Pesh in some IA uniforms. And I mean, on the pantheon of Middle Eastern militaries, cultures, these are the ones that were not shitty. Like these guys, like, I mean, they sort of got after it. Like they still weren't good, but they weren't terrible. And yeah, I mean, it would have been better. Like it could have been better, of course. Mistakes still happen, but yeah, I mean, we were collecting intelligence. We had good terps. Like we had honest terps, which is harder than finding good terps. You can find good terps, you can't find honest terps.
Yeah.
But we had good terps, and yeah, I mean, we were getting it done, and our area was super safe. Like people were able to go out and live their lives. It was not. We made a small piece of Baghdad function again. You know, like we really crushed like the Jay Mahdi. Like we put their nuts in a vice pretty hard.
Well, what happened after you left?
Fucking went shit.
Well, that was like a problem, right? Because I'm trying to remember.
This is a problem.
There's one of the books I got. It's something about the Tigris, but it was about like when the 101st showed up in 05.
Yeah, there's a problem.
Yeah, like they fucked everything up that 03 and 04 did, right? But
hey man,
I mean, that was the problem. And I mean, I know it was kind of like a spoof, but not a spoof. But that fucking movie on Netflix about the 4-star in Afghanistan, like every 4-star that shows up had like, here's how it's going to really work. And like every time it like, no, it's just my turn. And now I'm going to be the one to fix it. And then like 9 months later, it's like, all right, well, it's somebody else's turn. And there's no real continuity. Right. And all that great work you said you guys did, and you probably did. I'm not discounting it. It was probably great, but someone replaced you.
Oh yeah, no, I'll tell you who replaced me, because they turned me into for arson my very last day of Iraq. I'm not kidding. I got a 10-6. I got like a full investigation. I almost got put in handcuffs on my last day in Iraq. For arson.
For arson?
For arson.
Burning shit? Were you burning shit?
Bro. I mean, I know you like long podcasts.
Yeah,
like,
let's go.
I haven't told the story.
That's good.
I mean, I got cleared, so I can tell the story. So this also tells you about, again, I cared about Iraqis. So again, all right, Kadamia, west of the Tigris, northeast of Green Zone, actually pretty chilled out place. Like huge Shia shrine there that for a long time they weren't able to visit. et cetera. Pretty solid place. Very much Shia majority. When we are there during the great sectarian shit, whatever they call that, right? So most of the Sunnis have left, crossed the bridge, crossed over the Tigris to Idumea. And we had a few families that were still Sunni that would just not leave. Like they weren't leaving. And there were these women. We called them the Sunni women. Like that was their name for us, like colloquially. And they were a great source of intelligence. Like, let me just say, like
As women,
they were. I mean, and really and they had a bone to pick. Like they had a bone to pick. Like the fucking Jay Shamadi was constantly, they had killed all the men in the family. They had threatened them forever.
What were they called?
I'm sorry.
What do you call them? Jay Sharmad? What is
I mean, other people have called them just by the acronym JAM, like JAM, the JAM.
I've honestly,
and that's the J. The J Shad. Like, God, I can never actually say it the way it's supposed to. I say it like I've always said it, but it's like Aisha Mahdi, like Mahdi, I think.
Okay.
Jay Shah Mahdi. I think, dude, I don't speak Arabic.
No, that's cool.
I know if the Adik and Top Java Imshi. Like, I mean, the Arabic I know is
stop, go away. That shit.
Yeah. If the Idik, like, put your fucking hands up, right?
Eat it.
But what is this? A cat?
Yeah, about to knock over the fucking camera. Like,
I thought you were gonna hit me. I was like, bro.
Yeah, you're good. It's fucking cat.
All right, so where was I? Oh, Sunni.
For the women, they're a great source.
They're like, yeah. And so, we were trying to protect them, trying to stay up with them, trying to like show solidarity, like, and so I'm trying to think what parts of this I'm actually gonna tell. I'll tell all of it. Fuck it. I'm not even drinking, but fuck it.
Exactly.
Fuck it. So we go. So we're doing SKT, like small kill teams and stuff with them. Like we're sleeping over. I mean, really like these chicks. Cool chicks. Very straight up, just tough women. Like, but in all things Army, we fucked up, right? Like we're showing solidarity with them for a long time, but I got a new lieutenant, and this new lieutenant and like the shit that was going on, like we kind of lost that love and feeling with this with these folks. In fact, let me shut my blinds when I do this. So like I'm paranoid about my neighbors and shit looking in on me. It's dark now, but so yeah, the Sunni women, we go to visit them one day. I finally convinced this new LT. I'm like, hey, sir, we gotta go fucking check on these women. Like, I just got a bad feeling. So we go there, and this is like my lieutenant's like first day, like really like on patrol, training wheels off. He's just got me as like the ground squad. Like we've got a VDO element with like just, drivers and gunners like parked down the street. And we go to the Sunni women's house to visit, and it's fucking empty. Like the first indicator shit's gone bad is the whole upper floor has been like burned. Like they lit it on fire. Like, because you can see all the soot and stuff on the top of the windowsills. And so we go in, fucking, they're all gone. They're all gone. Their shit's like rat fucked. House is bad. And they'd killed the fucking cats. Like they had cats. Like they had fucking killed the cats. I ain't even a cat fan, man. But I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm a cat fan.
We go outside.
Make me cry on this thing.
I don't like cats. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I'm sorry. This is a sad story in a lot of ways. So we go outside, and there's like some shit spray painted on the wall. And like I asked my terp, I'm like, what does it say? And he's like, no one will ever live here again. Oh, and for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? So we went like to the neighbors and questioned them. It's a good way of saying what we were doing. Like we were asking questions like, hey, what the fuck? Oh, I didn't see shit. Like do a little percussive maintenance on that man's head. asked the question a little bit more about what the fuck are the ladies? Like, oh well, they were told to leave. You know, of course I'd tried to take up for them, but you know, I'm sorry. It's the same old shit, you know.
Yeah.
And so we told them, we said, you know, the dude I knew from that neighborhood, who's like the neighborhood leader. Everything's a hierarchy over there, you know. Like there's like a dude, there's a neighborhood dude. It's like Goodfellas or some shit. There's a guy, he's a neighborhood guy, and so like we took the neighborhood guy and we, you know, made sure that he could see the wall up close where it said nobody will ever leave here again. Like we gave him we kind of just made sure that he saw it, and we're like, what does it fucking say? And he's like, you know, in Arabic, whatever, no one will ever leave here again. And we're like, that's right. This house is fucking empty. Like, don't ever let me see anybody come in or out of it. Don't let me see a light on. This house is fucking empty. Like, this is a monument to this neighborhood being fucked up. And it stayed that way. Stay that way forever. But again, wheels of time, you know, like we're at the end of our tour and we have I want to say it was a National Guard combat engineers. So like by the time this happens, you know, we've been, I don't know, almost a year and a half in country. We're going a little native, right? Yeah. Like by the end of our tour, we're doing left seat, right seat rides with these dudes, and they kind of consider our methods to be somewhat unsound, you know, like they're kind of like, these dudes are a little wild. But then again, like they didn't know, you know, like this is their first deployment. Exactly. This is like, you know, they've been drinking that good old American Kool-Aid about how war is just like, we're the good guys. And, you know, you can't fight a bad war, that kind of shit. And so we got these dudes and we're doing these left seat, right seat rides. And there's this one night we take them on like a night patrol and we're crossing over this overpass, and it's an overpass where you can see the Sunni women. And, you know, usually I was TCing, I had other shit on my mind. I wasn't really looking into it, but because we're like in these other Vics, like I'm able to like look out the windows and I'm like, there's fucking light on in the fucking Sunni women's house. And so like I tell my LT, and now this ain't my LT's first day. Like LT's been there for a while. And I was like, sir, like, did you see that shit? He's like, I see that. And I was like, what did we fucking tell them on your first patrol? He was like, we told them that nobody will ever live there again. I was like, did you mean it? He was like, because, you know, this is his introduction to the war. It made an impression on him, man. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I meant it. I was like, all right. Like, if we get a chance, we're going back there. And so the next day, so our last day in Iraq, we are on like, we had 3 platoons at this little COP at the Mafana airfield. And we had 3 platoons and mortars. Mortars were almost always our QRF guy because they weren't going to do shit anyway. We were on like the gate guard. We had like a tower guard. Like we were just like on guard. Downtime, you know, like we had to pull guard and stuff, but like we weren't the active patrol platoon. So like we're on downtime. We're not also on QRF. But there's a call, like there was a call, like we had a patrol just came back or something, but there was a call, there was a kidnapping. There was a lot of this shit. And they wanted us to go investigate the kidnapping, and it just happened to be in the fucking same neighborhood or near the same, it was like the same mahalla as Sunni women's house. And so they were like, yeah, do you guys want to go? I was like, fuck yeah, we do. And so we get out there, and you know, the dudes are on edge, like the boys are on edge. It's our last day in Iraq. Everybody wants to go home. Yeah. You know, like we were already getting a little salty. And so we had a car, like not paying attention, like trying to give hand and arm signals, shining green lasers, wasn't paying attention. So blew the radiator out of that, like shot a car tire out. This dude he was mine. So like I was a squad leader at this point. Like I had a team leader who was from LA, from Lower Alabama. And yeah. And he was an interesting fellow. He's actually facing murder as we speak in Alabama. But he ended up being the one, like he shot the radiator out, shot the tire, went up to the driver, punched the driver in the face, grabbed his car keys, and chucked them into somebody's like over somebody's wall. Like, and so like, you know, we're on left seat, right seat rides. We got these dudes like replacing us. And they're just like, what the fuck? And then like I had another dude that like tried to walk through the patrol, you know, and he got hit with non-lethal buckshot. And like we're just fucking, we ain't having shit. Like everybody was already mad anyway. And so we go investigate this bullshit kidnapping, and you know, nobody's seen anything, nobody knows anything. You know, you just got a sad family. And it's time to go back. And I'd intentionally called and had the video move to the same place where the Sunni women were. And so like they're locked up, and like we go back, and there's an E6, like a squad leader from the team that's, or the squad, the units are replacing us. There's like an E6 squad leader. I'm like, hey bro, like put your kids and your strikers, mind your fucking business. Like, and he's like, you know, what's going on? And, you know, we'll help you. And I was like, no, you won't help us. Like, we got a score to settle with this house. Like, we've told everybody that if they were going to live, you know, this house had to stay out unoccupied, blah, blah, blah. Just don't say anything. Don't look, just mind your business. And so we put them up, and we hit this house, and I know something's fucked up right away. Like I go in, and something's different. First off, there's no military age males, which is like your first like,
yeah, there's a problem.
There's something's different. The other thing is, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but like something just looked different, and I didn't know what it was. But so like we clear the whole house, we, you know, gaggle up all these bitches, and that's when we realize what it is. Like they all have like they look like Krusty the Clown because they're wearing makeup, and it's like white girl makeup. Like they're wearing makeup, and that's a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't walk around Baghdad see women in makeup a lot. Like, they're still wearing the shakab, but
Right.
they're, you know, white faces. And I should say, I don't think they were in the full shakab. I think it was a hijab, like just the head wrap. It wasn't the full black, all the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they were still covered, but yeah, they had makeup on. And so like I go to the turret, and I'm like, Tony, like, what the fuck? And he was like, sir, this is a whorehouse.
Knew it.
And I was like, this is like, dude, I don't know. I had like this thing in me where I was like, I remembered these Sunni chicks, you know, and like how cool they were, and how they were like actually just good people. Like they weren't even trying to be in the war. They weren't trying to have that shit. They're just trying to live. And I was like, so like you're telling me that they would rather have a whorehouse in their neighborhood than those Sunni women? And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right, I got this. And so I was like, tell these bitches that like they have 5 minutes to pack. And so like they grab all their shit, we throw them out. And I always carried like a HC smoke grenade, like high concentrate. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, I went to the bathroom of this place, like, because the bathroom, I mean, if you've ever been in a bathroom here, like it's like tile, cement, like there's no curtains, there's no window. Huh?
Like an Eastern bathroom type? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like shit on the floor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's got the little ridges on the toilet on the ground. Like, yeah, and like they clean it with just a squeegee and water. Like, yeah, the little.
Yeah, it's very sanitary.
Yeah. So like, but the thing to me is like, there's nothing that can catch fire. This is important. There's nothing that can catch fire in this. And so like, yeah, I pull a pin on this HC smoke grenade. I throw it in there because like these things can like fill like a basketball court with thick smoke. Like there's a lot of smoke in an HC smoke grenade.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a fucking, it puts out a lot of volume. Like, and we carried them for like the sniper threat, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I knew they put out like a lot of smoke. And so like my thinking is like it'll smell like and look like this motherfucking thing burned down. Like it'll look like it. And good luck getting your fuck on in a whorehouse that smells like fucking chemical smoke. Like at least I could ruin the nut for some dudes for a couple of weeks. I don't know. Not making a big impact in this war. I've set my goals pretty low at this point. And so like, so yeah, we do that and we walk out. We just walk out, get in our trucks, drive back. War's over.
Yep.
We're there like 2 minutes. We throw all our A bags in the trucks. And like, you know, we Charlie Mike all the way to Taji. And I'm back in Taji, just happy as fuck. I lived through the war. It's my last one. I was pretty certain. And it ended up being my last one, like downloading magazines, like stripping them. And yeah, fucking first sergeant came and got me. Had my lieutenant with him. And they were like, what the? He didn't snitch.
No, it was one of the new guys, right? Had to be.
A PFC.
What?
From, bro. They don't make, even back then, they don't make privates like they used to, right? Like when I was a private, I wasn't snitching on shit. Like, I mean, you steal money out of my wallet, I'm keeping my fucking mouth shut. But like those privates, like, were already different then. And so, yeah, like this, what had happened is, as soon as we left, like they waited for us to leave. And this PFC like went and open door policied his company commander. I was like, sir, I have witnessed like war crimes today. Like, and he's like, he was like, you know, there was a poor Iraqi that was just driving down the road and they lit his car up and I thought they were going to kill him, which, I mean, motherfucker, we shot a lot of cars back then. Like, cause that was the VBID threat was the scariest one. Like they would roll the fuck up on you and blow up. Yeah. And so we just weren't having it. Like you cross like, you know, 200 meters, like you weren't responding to this. Like you just got it. We didn't kill a lot of people doing it. We most shot the cars. And so, yeah, like he was like telling everybody we shot up this car and then like talked about me shooting this dude non-lethal buckshot, how he didn't have it coming, which he did too. And then they got to the arson. They burned this house down. Like I saw them, like they burned it down and walked out and there was all these women outside crying, you know, these poor women, you know, like there's a lot of backstory here that's fucking necessary. And you guys have now heard it. So maybe you'll side with me. Maybe you'll say I was wrong, but, and so, yeah, like they took my weapon and shit. Like they put me like by myself, like me and my lieutenant were in like deep shit. My company commander was mad as fuck. He liked us. But he had to go and drive with like the BC or the S3 or somebody and like go and prove to them that I didn't burn this down. Because the part of the problem is the guy that the company commander, I guess, that replaced us had went and taken pictures of this place and had went upstairs. Remember the part of the story where I was like, they burned the upstairs?
Yeah, so it looked like
and so it looked like I did it. And so like we had to like, and they came to me and they're like, you really did burn this down. Like we saw these pictures. And I'm like,
wait, well, so you never took pictures of the original? Oh, you did.
Well, because of course I have. All right, like we talked about the glamour shots. I'm not the only one. So let me point out, I didn't take those pictures of me. Our FO was issued a digital camera, like a bitchin' digital camera back then, like really? For their standards, you know, like was issued one because he was our SSC scribe. Right. So when we were having to do unit sensitive side exploitation,
you got the unit scribe. It doesn't matter what you did. There was a unit scribe. Awesome.
And so like, so we do sensitive side exploitation and stuff as a part of these TST raids. And we had to have a camera. So they had issued him one and he was like, fuck it, man. I got a camera. I'm taking pictures of whatever the fuck I want. And so he just like, I've probably got half a gig of pictures of everybody, what we were doing. I have a very well documented deployment, but thankfully, all my fucking Joes were up there like taking cool guy photos and shit in like a burned down building, like with their guns, like looking tough and shit. And it was date stamped. And so I was able to prove that it wasn't me. Like I didn't burn shit down. And then they found, like, I was like, if you go to the fucking bathroom, you'll find an HC smoke grenade. That's what made it look like it was burning down. That I will cop to. Like, tell me throwing a smoke grenade in this war is like a fucking war crime. And I mean, put me away in Leavenworth, guys. And so like they dropped it all and it never became a big deal. But that was how I got accused of arson on my last day in Iraq.
Well, there's no reason to write the book now, I guess, since we all right. There's a lot because I do appreciate. I didn't intend to talk to you about Iraq for an hour plus, but this is good. Oh, sure. People need to hear that. No, because there's not enough. I think there's too many guys like yourself that have these stories that they've internalized over the time that they were there, and they never get to actually share it, or you know what I mean, for whatever reason. And there's too many of these stories that I think when we entered into that position to where we are now, we're a little different. And I picked up on something that you said, because I feel like I was the same way. One, I don't know if it was on the most recent one you did, but you talked about that when you joined, you were pretty left wing.
Yeah.
Right. And then over time, especially this, you tell this Amnesty International story where you kind of got into this debate with some, I don't know if he was a professor or whatever he was there. And I feel like we parallel in that, because I mean, even in my former life, when I was into music, I wrote very specific lines about how I don't lean to the right because I didn't think Bush was right. Like that was a line in a song I wrote, and I was 24 maybe at the time, 23 when I wrote that. And over the time I've changed, you know, and you as well. And I don't know, you call it politically homeless, which I think more than ever at this point in my life, outside of some of the people that we know mutually that we support, for the most part, I'm fucking politically homeless, right? I know what I like, I know what I want, I know what I don't like, and I know what I don't want. And that's kind of where we are. Like we're fucked on both sides. So
Yeah.
what was it that, was there anything that kind of solidified that aside from the encounter you had with the Amnesty International, or like, is it just growing up and growing older, becoming a parent, like where things just change, where you're no longer responsible for just yourself. Like you've got other things to take into account with everything you do. Does that kind of factor into political?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've run it all. Like, so I was like, when I was saying I was left wing then, I was like, I was left wing, like Revelate for Radicals left wing.
Like Antifa style today, or what?
I mean,
Even
yeah,
though
but I was like, I was even less significant than they are now. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't shit. Like I didn't really know. Like it just seemed cool. You know what I mean? Like my parents hated it. That had a lot to do with my motivation for doing it. Yeah, and then like even in the war, I mean, I didn't give a shit about politics. Like I didn't just didn't care. I was like, I'm never gonna vote, you know, especially like after I'd served or whatever. I was like, man, I don't want to vote because I want to vote for somebody that starts the next war and shit, kill somebody I know. Like,
yeah.
So I just stayed out of it. I can remember I used to make this joke all the time, like you know, like we'd raid these houses and shit, and I'd walk out and I'd be like, vote Democrat, like, you know, like, and like when people
now more than ever, that's true, right? I mean,
yeah. When when I was getting out, like people were like, what are you gonna do when you get out of the army? Like, you're never gonna make it outside the army. Like, you're not gonna be shit. And I'd be like, I'm just gonna smoke dope and go to Obama rallies. Like, I'm gonna I don't want any part of this shit anymore.
People really thought that about you though? Like, I don't see you putting off that vibe. Like, cause I mean,
oh man, it was just it was like a,
you know what I mean? I get it. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, like,
it was a re-up thing.
Yeah, I wondered why you got out, but at the same time, I guess listening to enough of your other appearances, maybe I kind of get it. But
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I got out still. I don't know. I mean, I think like near like the arson shit didn't help.
So you got a little jaded at the end, maybe.
Yeah, and I just saw like how the army didn't give a fuck about you. You know, like
right? They didn't get up far enough, and you start realizing the things you talk. It's not really the people. First thing is it's a bumper sticker. It's not real.
Yeah, it's not real. Well, and like so, I was already in E6. Like by the time we got back, I still had a year left, like or roundabout, and then I extended a year so that I could get E6. Is what I should say. So like, extended a year to get E6, and like I was already platoon sergeant, you know, I was already beans and bullets. Like I wasn't doing shit. Like I was a weasel for like just a little bit, which was a weapons squad leader. It's the best job in the military. Like, it's fucking badass. So like I liked being a weasel, but then like I was a platoon sergeant, and like you know, I got to play PL for like 2 minutes while like we lost our lieutenant because he's a pussy. And so yeah, I don't know, man. I just felt like I was like, this is the end of it. Like after this, it's platoon sergeant and then first sergeant and then fuck all. Like, what would you do it for? Like you're no longer leading troops, right? You're just like you're running CASVAC. You're like, so yeah, man. So I wasn't political though, and I got out and I actually like I went full Lolbert. like hardcore Lolbert. Like I was
The
fucking
Lulbert.
all
For
about
those
that.
who don't know, what is a Lulbert?
A Lolbert is like what a libertarian doesn't want to be called, but what they are. Like it's just this clown shoe fucking political opinion that like I'm too old for fucking Hot Topic, but libertarianism, like I'll be that. Yeah. And so like, yeah, it's like I don't like my parents still, but I got a job. So, it's a political fucking circus. It's just full of just degenerates and dipshits. Think that it's anyway. So I was a Lolbert.
That's
it's
what
libertarian.
Yeah.
That's what libertarians are. Like, I get it. Like my heart is actually with it, but just people are too stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like with socialism. Socialism or socialists,
ever
libertarians are the right-wing socialists. Like they believe in a better person than it ever fucking exists. Like they believe that we can just scrap all these institutions that like really do keep the veneer civilization polished. Like, like you think that they don't fucking need it, but they do. And so anyway, I was a Lolbert. I just, I wanted to smoke dope in peace. I wanted fucking guns. Like I didn't care about, if people wanted to marry each other or kill their babies or anything. I was fine with it. So it wasn't until like probably, honestly, I wasn't super political until I just discovered that there's an entire group of people in this nation that absolutely hate me. I want to see everything I like destroyed. And that's when I was like,
how would that light got switched on?
It was right before Trump. And I'll tell you, it's actually not even before Trump. It's probably after because I didn't vote for Trump. Yeah, it was recent. I liked Ron Paul when he ran way back. Like that was dumb as fuck. Like nobody showed that old dude how to.
Like my problem with Ron Paul was I remember this very clearly in one of the debates, and he was like, they asked him about foreign policy, and he said like the golden rule.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when you lose it, right? As a Lolbert, as you call it, like, because it is great up until a point where you get into like, okay, well, how are you going to interact with the planet?
Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
The golden rule. It's just like you just see Ron Paul like, oh, the golden rule. I just treat it. You want to be. And it's like,
and it's like in his ill-fitting suit and shit, looking like, he, that's great. Like you can golden rule your way until the Chinese like rule the fucking earth. Like, congrats.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Way to go. Like that's a lot better for everybody, I guess.
Yeah,
like, golden rule's ass.
That's where we're at.
But I believed that back then. But then, like I said, like I didn't vote for Trump the first time.
Yeah.
I didn't really care back then either. Like I knew Obama sucked. I was coming around to like, oh yeah, Obama kind of sucked. Like this is shitty.
What were you at the first time though with Obama? Because I think you're a little younger than me. You might be more.
When Obama got elected, I was still in the army.
Yeah. Because I want you to tell where you're going with this, but most people don't know this. So you broke some stories. I'm going to break some shit here, right? So my first election the first election I ever voted in was 2000. I voted for Ralph Nader. I was so influenced, right? Like I was so influenced on campus by like what was he? He wasn't the Libertarian. What was he?
Green Party.
I was so influenced because I went to some stupid fucking rally on campus just to hear people. I was like, wow, this little chicks. No, none at all. But this guy that talked like for Ralph Nader, as opposed to Bush and what was it, Gore? Like Bush and Gore's people were just like, and then this guy for Nader was like, kind of. It was like, man, I like that shit. And then 04. So check this out. Here's 04. I'm back from Iraq at that point. I'm super jaded. I hate Paul Bremer. Like I kind of woken up to the fact that I don't really like the fact that we're in Iraq. I hated the fact that I was there for 15 months. Bush is responsible for this shit. I joined the army because of 9/11. That was it. Dude, I literally wore a shirt to go vote in Orlando that had a picture of George Bush with a red X. And I voted for fucking John Kerry. And then I voted for Obama in 08 for the first time because I hated John McCain.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you for that.
Yeah.
But
then from that
McCain sucked too.
About 2010, I am what I am now. Like I woke up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even like where I am now. But I've just
I don't either.
like Trump came along, and I was like, what a fucking joke, man.
Yeah.
Like, our country is so
Dude,
fucked
that
up.
said
Like,
shit that we thought, but you're like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be the president though. You
no,
know?
and like I was just like, this dude's like on a reality show. Like, this shit's embarrassing. Like, I've seen Donald Trump on wrestling, like when I was a kid. Like that tells me
I played a
everything.
board game about Donald Trump when I was like in middle school. Like,
Yeah, I mean, this is like, yeah, he was in Home Alone and shit. Like, I was
yeah,
like,
he's not like
oh,
he's not a. It's like
how
some
did this happen?
person.
Like,
It's just like a
how
character.
bad did we fuck up that we got Donald Trump as a president? That's how I felt at the beginning. That's all I'm saying. But then, like, he didn't really piss me off, and he wasn't doing anything like wild. And at this time, like, I had this girlfriend that I was like really into, but like, she was like your typical Rollywood kind of, girl. Had all these friends that were like, I don't know, man. They hated me. They hated me, and they weren't going to tell me until Donald Trump got elected. And then it was like every fucking time I'd hang out with them, it would just be about like how all my people are just the scum of the earth, and how we hate people that we don't actually hate, and we are just like, yeah, man. And I grew up like I grew up kind of white trashy a little bit, like not real bad, like my family did all right, like near, but like I had like your typical whiskey tango drama, like growing up, and like I was just like, damn, like what the fuck, like what did I like? I'm not running around like just like throwing out like fucking privilege like Scrooge McDuck and shit. Like, what the fuck did I do to cause you to hate me so much? And yeah, it just got worse and worse to the point now where, like, I mean, the day that somebody like bugles Joe Kent across the fucking Potomac with his 13th Legion, bro, I'm fucking there.
Well,
I am like,
it's in that chat that you have so much participation in. I'm like, he's talking about his kids want to be snipers, and they're like wearing these little ghillie suits that they've made running through this trail. And I'm like, President Joe Kent on his 6th term, after he amends the Constitution, is winning wars with snipers that are actually his sons. It's so good.
Right. Yeah, he's like Teddy Roosevelt and shit. He's got his kids like out there shooting like Secret Service agents. Yeah, man. I mean, I've just turned. I don't even think I turned right. I think I was like pushed there.
Like, and that's okay. So let me stop you right there, because I think what you just said is something that we're starting to see really, really play out, not just on a macro level, but I say it on a micro level because, look, I am still a registered fucking voter in the state of Florida. I've been out here in California because this is where I'm stationed, right? But I see that I'm very close to San Francisco. I spend a lot of time there because I'm a fucking San Francisco Giants fan. That city I've watched over the last few months. I mean, they're voting out city council members, school board members, left and fucking right, because they're tired of it. They're fucking fed up. You talk about like, hey, it's one of the few places in the world with cobble where you step over the poor like they do in the city of San Francisco, right? Like that shit's real.
It is real.
I have this interaction with a Giants fan all the time, and they're outside of San Francisco, and they talked about, I just retweeted a bunch of this the other day. Like, San Francisco it's a beautiful city from afar until you get in it. I like taking pictures of the city away from it.
Oh, I love
inside of it. You know what I mean? Once you get inside of it, and there's still some very nice areas, but for the most part, like traditional neighborhoods, like it's bad. It's fucking bad, right? And I talk about, okay, I don't know who you want to hang this fucking problem on, but the city of San Francisco hasn't had a Republican mayor since 1964. Okay. So please try and tell me like Donald Trump's the problem and like he's the cause of all your societal ills in this city, right? Because that's not true. And then let's go on the state level, right? We haven't had a real actual Republican governor. Don't tell me Arnold Schwarzenegger was Republican. But
he wasn't even real.
Yeah, so we haven't had one of those since like, I don't know, the 90s. Okay, so this state was never that way. And I want to get your opinion on something else. But before I say that, I go back to the micro and the macro level and people shifting to the right, I feel in this country. Like it's going to be slow. I got it. But it's happening here in San Francisco. It's happening in literally the most left-wing city in this fucking state or this country. It's happening. People are starting to shift. And you can't blame Trump for what the average family is going through right now. That's not Trump's fault.
I mean, yeah. Yes and no. I mean, I do think that stimulus was a dumb fuck move.
Yeah, right? I mean,
like, that probably didn't help inflation.
Shit in fucking 04 or 05.
Bush fucked up too. Like, don't.
Right.
I mean,
I'm just saying, like,
they all suck. No, I hear you though.
Dumb shit.
Yeah, Biden ain't helping. I
No.
will agree. Like Biden is for sure. Like he's like, let me put this fire out with a bucket of gasoline. Like he's fucking he's bad. Yeah, I mean, I've been to San Francisco, like, and it is what you talk about. I spent a lot of time there. Actually. I spent a lot of time in California because I have a lot of clients there. Like I still do.
Well, I love it out here. I just need a new government so we can make things
Yeah,
better.
it is. Yeah, it's like that, man. It kind of breaks your heart too, because it's got a lot going for it, but fuck, it's just gross. Like it's just gross. But I think everybody's kind of getting sicker because we're seeing the fruits of it. Like, like I think everybody the comment that they make like about like if you're not a liberal by the time you're like 20, then you're heartless.
Yeah.
If you're not a conservative by the time you're like 35, then you're brainless.
Yeah.
Like there's a natural ambition to want to make, improve the world, make it more peaceful, make people love each other and shit. Like I get it. Yeah. I actually admire that quality in liberals.
Right. I agree.
But it's just it rarely interfaces well with reality. Yeah. Like it rarely like works.
So I wanted to get your take on, because I thought about this. I was just a couple of weeks ago, I was just by myself here for a few days, and I was just sitting there out on my porch, stroking my cats, as I'm wont to do. I like to stroke my cats and drink some bourbon and reflect, right? And I was thinking like, I didn't want to do this because you've done this on every podcast. You've mentioned Braxton. So you didn't do it, but I have. So now I'm going to go ahead and conjure Braxton, right? Because I think about what and who that man is and where he is, right? Where he actually lives. And I think about people like him, because it was people like that dude who settled the fucking West. So how did we get to a point where the hardest and the toughest people in our society made it this far, settled this place, civilized it, and now we have literally the type of government and society that is reflected now in the cities like San Francisco and LA? Like, how did that fucking happen? Like the
money. We got money. We got decadent. Like, no, man. Like,
no, you're right. No, you say the decadent thing. That's fair, right? So, but
you spoil any child, that's what you end up with. You spoil it. It happens. What's true for your children is what's true for society like large. You spoil them. You give them everything they want. You don't make anything hard on them. What do you get? You get spoiled kids. Like you get spoiled policies. You get we don't. You don't have to work. Oh, this went bad for you. We'll give that to you. Like, let's put 100 safety nets up in you. You'll never fall. Like, here's a bubble wrapped life. That's what you'll get. Like you get soft people. Like they don't have to be hard.
But that's not even working at this point over here, because we talk about what we see when we walk around, right?
So it falls apart. But that's the thing is like, I mean, it's the cycle, right? Like there's
enough people hit the net, the fucking thing starts to fray and break. Is that where we're at? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there's that book. Like I think I talked about it with maybe with Hush about the fourth turning. I think that's what it's called. I don't want to be embarrassed if that's not the name of it. But the idea is that like everything that involves humans is like a cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It was with Hush.
Yeah. And like everything is a cycle, and we're just on the decadent part of it.
Right.
Like eventually like the soft men will make hard times, and then we'll be bitching about something else. We'll be talking about how we can't get a sandwich, but everybody around us is straight gangster. Like, I mean, you gotta
a lot of guns.
You only get these very narrow bands of golden ages. Like the rest of it's like, it's either decadence.
We haven't had a long period. Right? I mean,
again, but that's the cause. We've had a lot of prosperity, had a lot of peace, had a lot of good things happen.
We had peace though? Come on. We haven't had peace. We've been at war since fucking World War II, essentially, pretty much nonstop.
We being like 1%.
We created a lot of these wars, maybe, but
that's the joke. Is like, no, man. Like the joke was like the Army and the Marines are at war. Like America's at the mall. Like they were not in that war. That was not a real war. Dude, I mean, I listened to Braxton talking to Jocko the other day, and he was like, "What the fuck do these people have this?" Oh man, like you do. This is the best podcast Jocko's ever done. Best podcast Braxton for
It
sure.
was
Has ever done.
5 hours, so I'm just like, man, where can I fit this in? I'm gonna do it tomorrow because I'm off.
It's
I'm not really off.
five golden hours.
I love
It's
that.
perfect.
But
yeah, like, but he made the comment, like Braxton was talking about, like when he came back from the war, I had the same problem. I was like, these motherfuckers don't know. Like they have no idea. Like everybody's smiling, like, oh, thank you for your service. Like that's all they had to do is just thank people for their service. That was the
I get
entire
it 4 times a day out here, and this is California.
Yeah. I had a dude do it to me today in a job interview. I'm like, bro, you were not getting the job just because you fucking thank you for your service. but yeah, like it's a fucking, it's like a thing. Like they don't care. They weren't at war. So no, we were not at war. We spent money. We spent money like we were at war, and we sent a lot of volunteers. And again, I'm gonna always point out, we sent volunteers.
Yep.
Like, nobody got drafted into that shit. Nobody was at war, but the people who wanted to be at war. People that wanted war were at war. People that didn't want war were not at war. They were just paying for it.
Yep, that's 100% true. Because I know, and for those at this point, if you don't already know, because he's been on here enough times, but he's also we've talked about it enough time. But we're talking about Braxton McCoy, so you can look him up. But I think Braxton was the one who made a point about it. He may have tweeted it, or I don't even know if he said it on here, but he has a good point where it's just like, why be in the military if you're not at war? Like, what's the point? So like, I remember taking that really personally when I read it, because I mean, I've been in fucking 20 years. I can't wait to get out. I'm still trying. Like I'm really trying, like, but no, he's got a point. Like, unless you really, like you're trying to make it a career, you like what you do, you're trying to position yourself after it, but he's got a point. Like, and that's why I asked you, like, why'd you get out? But there's a point, right? Like Braxton joined because he felt like he needed to. He wanted to be a part of what was going on, right? And that's a small town kid from fucking Idaho. Like those are the people, not so much because there's not a lot of population. Most of the people join from, your region of the country. And now they're not. And so we're really seeing that now we're seeing that hit when you fucking demonize that entire fucking part of the country, right? You see the second and third order effects of that.
Yeah. The America they would fight for, it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Why would they join? Like,
oh my God. But that's why I come all the way back. Let's go all the way back to Mexico. You want to fucking invade Mexico? Who's going to do it?
I mean,
war at this point, man. Hey,
it's there's a lot of preparation in the troop leading procedures, right? Like we're gonna need to fix some things. I agree. I mean, look, my invasion of Mexico is, of course, an intellectual exercise. Like, because I'll tell you, like, we would probably still trounce the cartels.
Do you really think that?
Oh yeah. Oh, come on, bro. Like they're not.
You're the first fucking convoy, and they execute them all on TV.
Oh, that's gonna happen. But look, dude. That's all that's gonna do is drive up recruiting. Like solve your fucking problem right there.
Oh my God, you got to interact with this country, bro. Like it's not. Yeah. They're not full of.
I don't know. I still think these kids exist. I just think they
got Gruntpa and Braxton around the rock, ready to go.
I don't think.
Cartel,
I think these kids are still out there. I heard everybody talk shit about my generation, and we had dudes getting after it. Like I think the problem now is
be at the point where we are in that generation that it's.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, look, and if that's the case, then like we're just gonna have to call off the invasion of Mexico. Like fucking break my heart, I guess. Like, I mean, yeah, because
you also brought up a great point, right? Because I think Clay Martin, he talked about this a couple of days ago. I mentioned it, like you said something where it's like people are getting hurt. And it's not like, when I came in, the people who got hurt, because I went to a mixed basic training. I didn't go to fucking Fort Benning for basic training. I had females in my basic training. And the females, most of them got hurt to the point it was always pelvis or stress fractures in the femur, right? Bone density. You brought that up, bone density. And now we're seeing it more and more with the males. And your theory was like, dudes just don't go outside and play anymore, which is true, right? Mm-hmm. And I said to Clay, I said to Clay, I was like, man, that sounds like a national security issue, doesn't it? Because think about it. His cousin he just talked about, who's like my fucking cousin who doesn't know a fucking thing about a fucking thing, went to the army and he just got kicked out because he's got fucking stress fractures and his broken pelvis. I'm like, that's
imagine
That's a
Time
dude.
out though. Yeah, but time out. Imagine getting roasted by your Uncle Clay Martin on the
You can't,
podcast.
what are you gonna say?
Like, I mean, like
That's
this
an
poor
unfair
kid,
fight.
this
You
poor
can't
kid's
say
like, what the fuck? Like, Uncle Clay, like, bro, like you fucking blasted me on the fucking There Will Be
seriously,
Bourbon.
yeah, like fucking that dude, like that.
Damn.
That's a pretty
Yeah,
high
man.
bar. That sucks. It is. That's a high. That's a high familial bar. The family tree is pretty fucking. There's a lot of branches, but
Clay Martin killed more people in COVID. Like, that's a hard thing to follow. Like,
he'll actually like he's fine. He'll like because I remember
He's
asking him is he the first or the second time he came on. I was like, how are you, man? Like seriously. And that's a question for you as well. Like you seem pretty fucking okay, and we know there's a lot of people that go through a lot of hard fucking shit.
yeah.
And you seem pretty fine. Like with you seem to be at peace with what you did. Like your time in the army is over. You lived through it.
Sobriety helps.
Yeah.
Like, sobriety helps. Like, cause yeah, I mean, the only time I get caught in my feelings, and really, like, it had a big part of me getting sober was that, yeah, I would have problems. Like, but I never really had like the PTS I feel like other people had. Like a lot of it was like I had a lot of moral injury. I had a lot of like hair trigger kind of shit, you know, like, but yeah, I mean, I did okay. I mean, Clay Martin's just like, he's legit. Like, you know, like I bet,
There's
you know,
dudes out there. That's what I like to always say.
Yeah.
There's dudes out there.
there are people that like it. I mean, and I don't know the man personally. I'm not talking about him, but I think the war agreed with him, you know, and I didn't have a lot of problems, man. I mean, I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. I'm not like haunted by it. I know people that have a lot of trouble, man, and my heart goes out to them because, like, you know, I don't think they're being pussies about it either. Like, that's been a problem. I think is like I went and got help. Like, I went to a therapist for a little bit, did EMDR. I mean, because I got out of the army and lost my mom, then my sister died. Like, I mean, I've had some stuff, but you know, people need to go get help. You know, if you are having problems, like I've said this forever, like you don't need to be drinking. Like drinking is, I mean, it's a depressant, and you can overdo that shit, and that's the last place you should run to if you got problems. But yeah, I don't really have problems. I guess I don't know. I'm sure people disagree. Ex-girlfriends and shit probably like fucking
Hey, you know
crazy
what?
fuck.
Their ex-girlfriends. That's their fault, not yours, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure when they're just like, so explain to me again, like, why do you have this bag that has like all this shit in it, and why do you need this, and why do you do like, I got a fucking gun right here.
Yeah, I was gonna lie. That's a great transition, I think. How are you doing over there on time? Are you good? Because I mean, I'm
fine. I'm in an empty house.
Oh, that's better because I'm just waking up. But
yeah, now we're about to crack.
Yeah, I saw you.
I brought a cooler.
I hear
a cooler beer to this.
You had something else with like a little yellow label. What's going on over there?
That was an Athletic Brewing Company.
Ah,
Upside Dawn Golden, and that one is good. That is Australia Galicia. That's Mas o menos. Like, I'm not so into that one.
You know what's weird?
Now,
I may have mentioned this before, but you know what I would do with the stuff that you're talking about? So when I left my last deployment, if you want to call it that, one of the things they were looking for in 2015, it was big, like it's real, but it was big at the time because, you know, soldiers were figuring out ways to get this, was powdered alcohol. So you just add liquid.
Is that real?
No, it's 100% real. But
it's real?
Thinking, yeah, if I had some powdered alcohol, I would just put it in whatever, and it's flavorless. It's just powder. There's no like flavor attached to it. 100%.
Dude, back in my day, I'd have been trying to snort that shit or something.
But no, I would take whatever beer you just mentioned, and I'd be like, you know, let me just a little bit.
Why would you do that? Why don't you just buy real beer? Like,
well, I mean, no, you got to. Like, so they're doing this to ship it over into Kuwait or whatever, right? So,
man, the way to do it. Not that I would know.
I'm gonna tell you
the way to do it.
I guarantee it. Go ahead though.
This is the way to do it. Is you get a 6-pack of clear Gatorades.
Yep, and here's why. Keep going, and then I'm gonna tell you how they fix this.
Okay, so 6-pack of clear Gatorades. You take the cap off of one, fill it full of clear.
Right. All right.
And it worked.
It did work. It 100% worked. It worked it worked in 13 and 14, but you know what? When it stopped working was 15, because you know why? The MPs take everything that's liquid that gets shipped over, and now they open all of it. Doesn't matter what it is. Soap, shampoo, your 6-pack of whatever, they open all of it with dogs and everything. Ask me how I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also we would just pay the fucking Terps. Like we'd just be like, hey,
That's how we
Tony
got
the
shit in
Terp.
03 in Iraq. Like it was, so I tell this story because how would we, nah, I don't know if you want to talk about your age. Doesn't matter. Anyway,
I'm not gonna dox my age.
yeah, all I know is you're younger than me, and that's fine. But 03, right, in Iraq,
Mhm.
I remember we would pay the truck drivers coming up from Kuwait, and they would bring us flavored vodka, flavored liquor, whatever. You didn't see that in the States at the time. Like I remember the very first time I had flavored alcohol was like July in Iraq, in Baghdad, because some Kuwaiti truck driver gave it to us, and we're drinking this shit at like 120-degree temperature, and it was flavored banana.
Yum.
I was just fucking hammer. And then I remember coming back in 04 and finally seeing like those companies. I think 99 Bananas was the first one I ever saw. Like the really cheap shit. And I was like, oh shit, there's like flavored liquor. Like the first time I ever really had real beer, like powerful beer, was in Iraq. It was this shit called Petra. It was a beer from Egypt, and it was like 8.4% or 8.5%. I was like, what the, this is, because at the time in America, you really didn't get that. Like,
Bud Light, Coors Light,
all like, there was imported beers and some shit like that, but there wasn't the market, like there wasn't the craft beer market like we have now. So, but yeah, I hate to say this to people, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not supposed to do it, but I really discovered alcohol in Iraq as a 22-year-old. Like that's just what my life was.
Yeah, I mean, we had it. I was like a monk. Like I mean, in Afghanistan, we had dudes smoking dope. Like we had, Iraq, yeah, people buying it. I mean, I ain't never snitch on anybody. I don't ever snitch. Like I knew about it.
It's just catch stitches. I mean, that's a famous line.
I don't know, man. I always say that, like, I will never write a sworn statement on a brother. Like, you will not catch me.
Well, I swore
we went through.
If I do write one, it's not going to be actual. It's not going to be factual.
All I'm going to say is, like, we followed all escalation of force, right? Like, known, likely, suspected enemy positions. We did everything above board, did our best. That detainee had those marks on his face before we brought him in. Like, I don't know where he fell off. He must have fell off the fucking 5-ton. I don't fucking know. Like,
it happens. It's
yeah, man. It's a fucking war.
Infrastructure, roads just fucking.
Yeah, don't get invaded.
Words to live by. Don't get invaded, America.
All right, Mexico, you better fucking.
You better fuck around and find out.
You're on notice, bitch.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't mind making a 51st state out of Mexico. That'd be great. It's just we got
no, that's a mistake. No, we're not giving them right to vote. Hell no.
No, you don't want that?
No.
Oh, well, then what are we doing?
They're like a protectorate. They're like you get like a viceroy of Mexico. Like,
when you say you want to absorb them, I assume you want them as states.
No, I don't want to absorb them. I want to overthrow their corrupt government so that the people want to go back there and live there. And like we get to visit, we got warm relations. I still want a wall. I still want a border. Like I'm not. No, fuck no. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to turn them into Americans. I just want them to not have such a shitty fucking place downstairs.
I don't know what they call it. There's states, I think they call it. Is there a state that you're particularly fond of that you would want to be the governor of down there? or the warlord of? Like, where would warlord Gruntpa? Is it Sinaloa? I feel like that's a pretty cool area. It's got the water still, right? Like, but also mountain.
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm not like that. This is the geography is where it's always hard for me because, like, I mean, if I was gonna do it, man, I'd part of like Puerto Vallarta, like probably, like
it's so beautiful, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like great beaches, like fucking. I think I'd have trouble. I'd have trouble being sober in Mexico. I feel like it's too fucking nice. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't call it sober, but I mean, I feel like Mexico is like a lot of light beer or just tequila, and I don't like tequila, so it'd be easy for me.
You don't like tequila?
No, tequila and we were never making up.
I could drink. Yeah, I could drink a lot of Pacifico back in the day.
Yes, I love Pacifico. Every time I go to a Giants game, I Pacifico it out. Even in the Angels game, where I just went with my brother down well, it's not really LA, it's Anaheim. I don't know why they call themselves the Los Angeles Angels, but anyway, there's a big Pacifico perch. Hang out up there. I love Pacifico. That stuff's good. That's the stuff you take a 30-pack of and go float a river or hang out in a pool day in. You don't take bourbon. You don't do that. So I wanted to ask you this because I think, we run in a similar circle, and there's a lot of people within our circle who've done a lot of the things that I do. He wrote. We know some other writers. You have Digital Drop Zone. So for those who don't know, digitaldropzone.com. No, I bring it up.
Everybody always brings this up.
Well, there's stuff there, and I don't even. I'm not bringing it up for why you think. I'm not even bringing it up for why you think. I'm bringing it up for the fact that because you are well read, like you do read a lot. You read some stuff that I think is things that the average person would never even think about reading, right? Like you're not just like, oh, let me go check the New York Times bestseller list and read the fucking top 5. Like that's my summer reading. Now you read some cool shit. I've bought some stuff based off some of your, I wouldn't even say recommendations, just stuff that you've said you've read. But have you ever considered writing?
Yeah, I have a whole blog where for brief flashes, I will go in and put down words. I don't get writing like other people I feel like get writing. Like I'll be on a good lick. I'll be feeling the muse. I can crank out enough. And then I'll get stuck. I'll stay stuck, and then I'll be mad about it. And I'll say, I'm not going back to write again until I can conquer it. And so the latest time I got stuck was when Red and I went wolf hunting with Braxton. We went hunting. We went hunting. I came back and I found I got a good topic. I knew exactly what I wanted to write about. I had thought it through, and I've written about 6 iterations of that, and it is dog shit every time. It sucks. Yeah, I can't get it out the way I want.
Have you had anybody else look at it, or are you just self-critiquing?
No, I know
that's what you should. Why not let fucking Braxton or why not? I'll fucking look at it. Why not let someone else look at it? Because you're always going to be your worst critic, man.
Yeah, but I want to have it fit. If I'm gonna have somebody read it, I'm not gonna have them I get started.
Yeah, but that's an unattainable standard. You hear what you're saying, right?
I don't know. I know. It's just I wasn't able to get it all put together, so I'm still working on it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like my writing's good. I don't feel like I enjoy it. I like podcasts.
Yeah. It's talking. It's easy.
I wouldn't run a podcast. No offense.
No.
Because I feel like I'd just neglect the shit out of that. Like I do my fucking webpage.
Dude, I did this.
So,
this was.
But shit. I do feel.
Yeah, this was the shit I attended to go to school for when I played baseball. I was all about fucking broadcasting. This is all I ever wanted to do. I just do it.
I like talking.
Yeah, talking's fun.
Yeah, podcasts are fun, and
70 episodes in probably 350 hours. But you start transcribing that's multiple books, right?
Yeah. And I even did that with my writing. It's I even set up this thing where I have dictation. I would go in it. I don't know. I'm working on it. I've got a comeback planned. Good. I'm not promising shit. I'm not telling anybody. One of the things that really disappoints me about myself is I got through chapter 1 of the Ranger Handbook, which
this is what I originally wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna just point out again. I'm not a motherfucking Ranger. If any Ranger wants to take over, start fucking writing that shit, I'll let them.
You know what?
I've always liked it. I've studied the shit out of it.
Rangers on Twitter. We know a lot of Green Berets and a lot of Green Beret imposters, but I've never seen someone who's yeah, I'm a fucking Ranger. I know Freedom Dean finished Ranger.
I have he quietly and silently blocked me here recently.
There's that one guy. There's that one.
Yeah, he blocked me. I don't know why.
I don't follow him. He doesn't follow me. It's fine. I don't. It's nothing against him. I just feel like he's old. I'm talking about someone who's probably in the current age range but no one ever wants to be I'm a fucking Ranger. It's everybody's a SEAL or a fucking Green Beret, and it's actually no, you're not.
Rangers too busy killing people. Yeah, Rangers too busy killing people for America.
Man.
I don't know. I that's the unit I've always like. I mean, I don't know. Green Berets are cool, I guess. Like, but to me, I've always been like the fucking Rangers are what's up.
I went to
Yeah, let's.
school, and it was such and this is the thing, like I talk about writing, and that's why I bring it up, because I've talked myself out of writing for the last 12 years. But my drill sergeant school was the 8 best, most funniest, most memorable. I can recount every day as if it was yesterday, still best weeks of my life.
Really?
And it was so fucking odd. Why? But we were paired up into squads, which, you know, everything at that time was like all about small group instruction. So it was like 12 to 14 people per squad or whatever. It's like 120 of us we started with. We graduated in 99. And it was like first and second squad were put in one building, and then third through 7th squad were put in the bigger building. And it was all alphabetical. And for whatever reason, in our first 2 squads, we were just like fucking Voltron. Like we just, all of us completely meshed. It was all like A through E. No, A through F, because I remember Foster was in there. But like Foster, Forbes, Ellis, God, what was it? And there's this other dude I can't fucking remember, but the 4 of them were Rangers together at some point in their careers. They had no idea they were all going to drill sergeant school at the same time. Like, and these people knew each other. Like, and we all kind of like coalesced around these 4 fucking former Ranger dudes who just happened to serve with each other at one point and all found themselves in drill sergeant school at the same time. And it was like literally the best 8 weeks of my life. I had this dude, Alan, who was a firefighter in the reserves before he came on active duty to go to drill sergeant school. And he was a 9/11 first responder. And he's got fucking pictures of with Bush holding the fucking flag up. Like there's so many cool stories that came out of that experience. Like 8 weeks, like I said, I got a story for everything. Those fucking 4 Rangers took their slings off because of this fucking drill sergeant leader who used to fuck with them, and they like waited for mount training and they assaulted this fucking objective. And he was the second story dude up there at the time. And they hung this fucking dude out the fucking window and dropped him out of it just as our fucking commandant, Sergeant Major, shows up. And he's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, as this dude's dropping out of the like, there's just so much cool fucking funny ass shit that only people in the military would kind of like see the humor in. But I also bring that up because there's too many things about the military that are either way too serious, and they neglect the fact that a lot of the shit is kind of like what you talked about. Like there's a lot of fucking humor in this.
Oh, well, the only war stories that are good are the funny ones.
Yeah, but
if you can't make somebody laugh during a war story, it's fake. It's fake. Yeah, I mean, and there's a really great short story by Tim O'Brien that's called How to Tell a True War Story. And it's about a lot of that. Like it's like, you know, it's about like, it's really a love story. Like a good war story doesn't even have to be true to be a good one. Like, and sometimes the true war stories are not good.
Yeah, it's like,
sometimes,
oh, that sucks. Anything else? No.
You need to make them feel, you need to make them feel it. Like, I mean, I've got war stories that are just like fucked up, you know, like they're just fucked up and they're just crazy. I mean, bombs dropped on the wrong buildings and, you know, people making blood angels like on the ground, and you're just like, Jesus, like, but if you were there, you would find the humor in it. Like you'd get it. Like you'd understand why it's funny, but it's telling the truth. Like, you know, the war is awful. Like, I mean, I don't think anybody who was in it would be like, oh yeah, it was fucking blast, like all the time, you know, but there are times like I was having a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, and probably wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I talk to these guys now and it's like, just like something missing, you know, like the war got too like real administrative. Like it got real like, I mean, it's like NFL football. Like there's got to be too many rules and you couldn't hit anybody.
I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten about it, and it's not your fault. It's my fault because this stuff gets in the way sometimes. And usually I try and take notes throughout so I can remember to come back. But let's go back to a point where I was like, yeah, that's great. You guys did this awesome stuff. Everything was great. Your section was, or your area was safe, but then you got replaced. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think about if we do something like this shit again? you didn't have that in World War II, right? You fought until it was time to come home when the fucking war was over. Do you think things would have went differently if like, hey, Benjamin, there is no 9-month deployment. There's no 12-month rotation. There's no 15-month rotation. We're sending you there until we come home. And that may be years, but do you think like, especially if you have the same people in charge over time and there's no constant turnover where everyone comes in with their own fucking good idea fairies, do you think if you had stability and command and control, mission command, whatever fucking thing they want to call it today, and the same continuity with dudes like yourself on the ground executing these missions, do you think you would have had a different and shorter outcome, not only in Iraq, but also Afghanistan?
No, I mean, because like again, like Japan was very ordered society. Wasn't Western, very ordered, very. They didn't really get. I mean, MacArthur was like the new emperor, right? Like they kind of replaced it. Germany, got pantsed, but even they were a very democratic, very civilized, very Western culture. They were totally amenable to what we were trying to push on them. They were ready to get on with shit. Like they had been pretty thoroughly trounced. There ain't no turning Afghanistan into Nevada. You know what I mean? Like you're not fucking making them believe in Jesus and drink Coca-Cola and buy Nikes. It's not gonna work. And Iraq had a better chance. I think Iraq we could have pulled that one off. Honest, I know that nobody likes this. I still think, I mean, Iraq is better off today. They went through a tough one because we fucked up, but mostly they did.
Right.
Like they used the opportunity that we gave them to settle a bunch of old scores instead of get their shit together and move on. Like they used that as an opportunity to say it's payback time, and we could have mitigated that better. But I no the long war. I mean, I'm actually, if anything, totally against long wars. Like I think we should do, if we're going to do anything, we do punitive campaigns. Like punitive campaigns where you just go in and kill the people that need killing and save the people that need saving, and get the fuck out. And let them put their houses back together as a reminder why not to fuck with us. Like, I don't think we should nation build or any of that. Like, even with Mexico, liquidate that government and the narco cartel, like the whole cartel apparatus, just liquidate it. And encourage the people that are good to be good and give them some opportunity and walk. Like, don't turn it into a long campaign where we have to stick around and stay and fix the problems and put the little girls through school and all that other shit.
I mean, but
not a problem.
I see what you're saying, because you're right. These societies and cultures are not amenable to Japan or back in Eastern Europe, well, Western Europe. But I just wonder if, like, you just sent the whole fucking army over
on a punitive campaign. Yeah, but I mean, you can't. Oh, you're saying like occupy with like the whole 18th
like,
Airborne.
why are we doing why are we doing rotations where there's no continuity? Like, yeah, I know you do a left seat, right seat, but at the end of the day, once the right seat takes over, it fucking changes. Like, everyone does their own fucking thing, which is why I bring up that movie on Netflix with Brad Pitt. It's like, yeah, well, I am now, it's my turn as a 4-star, and I got 9 months to do my fucking thing, and that's not going to work either. And then here comes the new one, and let's just all try again. Because I talked about this shit before a million times about Afghanistan. Like, I was there in 13 and 14 when it was Operation Drumbeat. That's what we transitioned to. Let's get all the fucking rolling stock out of the country because we're going home. But we didn't. Right. We still didn't. It still took 7 more fucking years before we failed on national TV and worldwide TV at that point, getting everybody out.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's like, like that general's like the police commissioner of Baltimore, right? Like what the fuck are you gonna do? Like, I mean, you're still police in Baltimore. Like, you
aren't you a Baltimore fan? You're a Baltimore fan, right?
Yeah, right. No, I am. Right. But I mean, but I stick to Fells Point. Like, I stick to like the safe part of fucking Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, that place is, speaking of, like, yeah, like the place is not safe. Like, and you can say you need more police or you need less police. I don't know. It's still Baltimore.
Where do you think that put us though? Like, like I said, this, talk about a lot of this. Like the state of the military concerns me, right? Mainly because I'm still in it, trying to get out. Still gonna probably hang out in the reserves for a bit, but like the state of it does concern me. The state of a lot of things concerns me. But where do you think like this global live version that played out in Afghanistan, where do you think we are in terms of standing on?
I don't think that was the military. I mean, this is again, you have a closer up view than I do, but at the same time, I still think our military take the Pepsi challenge against anybody else, even
challenge. Got my
even
license
as
card. That was great.
yeah, as fucked up as we are, we're still better. I mean,
No,
look
I don't
only
disagree with
to
that.
yeah.
But what do you think? Where do you think we are on a global scale, right? Like because
I think we fucking pull the pants.
this is a long-term thing, right? I always talk about like this isn't like there's no the game doesn't end. We just keep going. It's constant overtime. Like we don't end. We have to keep going
Yeah,
no matter what. And someone's gonna take, I don't
still
know.
America, man. I don't know. I hear you. I hear you. I still think that like this country still makes some Braxton McCoys and some other people, some Clay Martins. Like these dudes are out there. And if it came down to it, they I think we'd do all right. Like we just haven't had to. You know, when 9/11 kicked off, like I mean, I heard all kinds of shit about millennials and about fucking got after it. I mean, got after it. Like, I mean, there are some shit bags, but I feel like we'd be all right. I mean, and seeing Russia, they got fucking same problems we do.
Do you think
Like,
what do
Jesus,
you think what do you make of that whole thing? Like
I think they're fucked up.
it's hard to get a lot of accuracy, right? But
I
and here's
mean, yeah, it's bad all the way around.
yeah, like the first 2 weeks I was pretty caught up in. I was like, oh shit, what if Ukraine can actually hold up? And then I was like, wait a minute. I remember because I was there the first year of Iraq, right? Like I couldn't
Yeah,
go anywhere without seeing a fucking reporter. How come the fucking reporters embedded with all this shit? Like where's all the fucking investigative journalists, the combat journal? Like why do we just have
they
why do
can't
we
keep them
Twitter
safe.
why do we get tweets that just say, oh yeah, 35,000 Russians died? Like who's verifying that shit? Because
Nobody. I mean, yeah,
we spent fucking 10 years in Iraq and we didn't lose a fifth of that. So you're trying to tell me in 3 months in Ukraine, they've lost 35,000?
they've gotten.
I'm supposed to believe that?
I mean, look, I don't know. I will agree with you that you can ingest blue and yellow Kool-Aid or red, white, and blue Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Like it's bullshit both ways, but that war, I mean, Russia is they're still gonna win. Like they're still gonna
Yeah.
they have to win.
Priority. They can't lose.
Man, they got more money, they got more people, they got fucking whatever, better equipment. But like they're paying for that shit. Like they're paying. Like they want the east of Ukraine, like they're gonna have to fucking pay for it. Ukrainians like they were kind of ready for it. I don't know. I mean, look, I've been trying to stay out of that shit because I made so many people mad. Like I didn't even know. Like people used to be like, "The right wing's full of like pro-Russian trolls," and I was like, "Fuck you!" And then I was like, "Wait a minute, that's true," because I have these motherfuckers every day, like just calling me a cuck and shit, telling me that like I'm sucking Zelensky's dick all day. I'm like, bro, I don't even fucking care. Like I'm just saying, like I don't like fucking Russia's best friend. Kind of think they suck too. So yeah, I mean it's all a fucking mess. But like, yeah, I think our military, to go back to it, we got problems. We need to get our shit together. You get these kids outside. Like, probably need to let them focus on like, you know, training and shooting the enemy and shit. But I mean, we'd still fuck up any other military. I mean, nobody's doing shit.
Yeah,
Huh?
you're confident in that.
I don't know who we're talking about. Like
I know you know some people that are still like in the division, but still, like the Army's not the division. That's a division.
It's true. It's sad. It is sad. I wish we could send everybody to fucking airborne school and make them proud to be in there.
Let's talk about this. Without naming the institution or that the organization I'm leaving. Like I've brought this up to every level. I've sat at every conversation with BCs. I'm like, please tell me the one organization in this Army everyone wants to be a part of, and then tell me the one that no one wants to be a part of. And we all say the same shit, but then tell me why. And they all say the same shit. So until you get everyone saying why they want to be in the 82nd and why they don't want to be in this specific, you're never going to fix the issues that go on, because it's no different than, I think you may have talked about this on another instance or another podcast, but like, look, SF, the 82nd, that's not reflective of all of it. Yes, the SF is great. Yes, the SF is super effective at what they do. There's not enough of them. And there's not enough of the 82nd. Like, you can't fucking defeat China with the 82nd.
No,
like,
that's true.
There's not enough. And I'm not 100% sure why we've allowed this proliferation of just average, or maybe even below average at this point, from when the time I came in and maybe when you came in, but that's real. And I know you've only seen the SF pipeline in the 82nd, but I've seen all the other shit, man. And
I mean, I've worked with some other units, and like I was even in like a National Guard unit for a little bit. Like,
oh, you were? Well, I would never talk bad about the National Guard, because I've honestly, all my experience with the Guard has been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, my experience was not so good, but at the same time, I mean, look, I mean, we're comparing our units against our units.
Yeah,
like no other nation has got a military on par. They may even have the numbers, but they're not that good.
Well, yeah, no,
we saw that
in Iraq. Like, I remember going through basic training and getting like the broad 30,000 foot picture view of like the rest of the world's armies in the first 2 weeks, and it was like, oh my God, Iraq's got the 4th largest land force in the world. Well, that took like 3 weeks, right? You know what I mean? It was.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, we pissed in their face like for like 3 straight weeks.
It took 3 weeks.
I mean,
you know,
yeah, my terp, my favorite terp in Iraq was actually in the Republican Guard during Desert Storm.
Oh wow, damn!
And he fucking deserted. Like, he fucking deserted.
Look, dude, I still got pictures somewhere on a hard drive of all these motherfuckers just deserting and running, like walking across the highways.
Yeah, I don't want none of that shit. And that's what I'm saying is, like, we got it. Like, yeah, we suck. We need to get better, but it's because we've got higher standards. You know, compare us to the Chinese, compare us to the fucking Russians, compare us to those. Like, we're still gonna beat their ass. We really would.
I would just say, you know what, our propaganda sucks compared to theirs, because I know you've seen the fucking Chinese videos where they're marching through the fucking snow with their all.
I've also seen the ones where they're like kicking flower pots off each other's heads and shit. Like, I don't fucking I don't care about that.
Tell me it doesn't look cool, bro.
Bro, if you see, I mean, what, like that, all those group videos, and even the fucking psyopers, dude, they got some badass shit.
But they're so small. It's not like that's all of them, and we're just showing we're highlighting our fucking all-stars. That's a difference.
Sure. I don't know, man. I mean,
that's what I think. That's a great. I'm glad let me pat myself on the back. Our all-stars are better than theirs, but their teams probably. The only thing I will still say that we have the superiority on, and I learned this on my last, before I came out and did this shit, because I was in a 1-star expeditionary command, which was all logistics. Our logistics and our integration with civilian companies that help with that far outweighs everyone else, right? So I got it.
And combined arms, and like, just, I'm telling you, I still think we're doing all right. Maybe
I just think, like, tell me this. All right, let me ask you this question. Because here's what I would just love to do. This is the point in my life I'm at. Look, dude, I'm 41, right? Very big difference from being 21. As a 41-year-old, I just want to fucking hang out in this country. I want to enjoy the borders of the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, and I want to wait for someone dumb enough to come across our shores to just run into the people on the fucking coast, and then try and survive the fucking mountains. Try and survive. Like, we don't need a military to defend this fucking country.
Yeah, but we need it for the empire.
Fuck the empire.
We need it for the empire.
It's just making shit worse.
I like cheap tennis shoes. I disagree.
Those shoes aren't that cheap, bro.
Bro,
when's the last time you bought shoes?
Like 3 weeks ago.
All my shoes are like $130 and up, and I get a discount. What the fuck?
Just telling you. I don't know.
I like being insulated, man. I don't like fucking trying to have to deal with the world police thing. I'm tired of it.
No, I'm with you. I don't think we should police the world. I think we should threaten the fuck out of the world.
Mexico.
Like, yeah, I think, yeah, keep a gun to their. Yeah, I'm not saying that we should.
Why can't we get
just keep
Mexico to produce our shit instead of fucking China? It'd be cheaper. I hate China. I
mean,
really
they are producing our shit. They're making,
making
fentanyl.
they're making 7% of my truck. I know
methamphetamine.
that from my Silverado. I know that shit.
Yeah, lavadita.
No, you know what? I really like the more I think about it, like I do love Mexico. And plus I live in Napa, right? So Napa doesn't exist without fucking most of these people.
Shit runs on Mexicans.
Napa's a great city, I think, that reflects America on a micro level because there's a lot of money here, but it doesn't exist without labor. And the labor comes from one very specific location.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of where we're at.
Seems like it.
I had one other thing to ask you.
All right. Last thing.
I mean, if I can open my phone, we're at that point where I don't really have motor control. So
if you were drinking a sober carpenter non-alcoholic craft brew,
yeah, where are you at right now? What's that one? That's like the third one I've seen. What is that one?
Sober carpenter.
It's called Sober Carpenter.
Sober carpenter.
Who makes that?
It's a pint. It's a pint. I mean, it is Sober Carpenters who makes it, and it's a non-alcoholic craft brew IPA.
I like it.
Tastes like an IPA.
Dude, I love IPA.
Really?
I didn't until I moved to California, and this is where they're all. And you know why I started loving them is I went and took a tour of the Sierra Nevada up in Chico.
Mm-hmm. I've been there as well.
It's amazing. Like they let you
the
feel
little
the
beer garden and
hops.
shit.
Yeah, you like to feel the hops. You get to go out to the restaurant. You get great food out there. Awesome.
Food is fucking legit. I love.
I did go to. I went to Sierra Nevada in North Carolina too. The one. What's it? Is it Windsor? Or is it Wilmington?
I haven't been to that one actually. Wilmington.
Yeah, it's actually really cool because it's on a bigger scale. Let's put it that way. Like the one in Chico is like they've been building since the original, so they just keep expanding. This one is like, yeah, we need to make all of our product to export to the European market, right? So it's a huge.
Gotcha.
They also have the restaurant there, so it's really cool. Actually, all of them, like all those breweries are awesome. Like Fat Tire, they have a really cool brewery. Great bar. I got hammered there while it was pouring rain. I couldn't get out to my parents in the car. I was like, I'll be out when it slows down. And I had like 3 more sours. it was literally pouring. I was like, it's not safe for me to come out there. Let me just keep drinking. Anyway. All right. So I can't let you get out of here without it because it's been a big week. And I thought about this when I was, you and I were texting earlier and I was like, hey man, whenever you can come on, it's great. And you're like, it's kind of like a long way off. And we really wasn't, but it made me think about a lot happens in a short period of time, right? Mm-hmm. So I messaged you about this probably a week ago, and a lot has fucking happened in a week.
Lots happened. Yeah.
Right. So
it's been a big week.
Yeah. Who knows what could happen in the next week? So let's talk about what happened in the last week. So we had that decision from the Supreme Court about the New York concealed carry law, and then we had the Roe v. Wade thing. So just what's your take on all that, especially going all the way back into how we feel about politics and how we feel about libertarianism or just rights in general? Just what's your take on all of that and how you feel about it?
Okay, let's see how many people I can make angry.
It's your turn.
Yeah, right. Like, so the decision about the concealed carry, I'm really happy about. There was only I went through the Thomas decision, like what he put out, and there's only one thing I didn't like, which he sort of acknowledged, what they call like sensitive areas, like places you can't carry a gun, government buildings, schools. I don't really recognize or acknowledge that. I think that's kind of a shitty idea. And he kind of said, like, he basically said in there, like, we can all agree there are sensitive areas that we don't carry guns in. I was like, dickhead, like, there was no reason to do that.
Yeah.
Like, he could have avoided that. But the rest of it's great. I mean, huh?
Which justice said that?
Thomas.
Oh, it was Thomas. Okay. Go ahead. Gotcha. Keep going.
Yeah, because he wrote the decision.
He wrote the majority. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so he yeah, and that was in there. That wasn't at hazard. That wasn't in. There was no reason to have that. But other than that, I mean, it was great. he's setting up a whole lot of other shit too that I think is coming down. Like, but I do believe that people have a right. Well, first off, I'm happy about Heller and having it's an individual right. That whole argument about it being a part of the militia is bullshit. Like, it's an individual right to own a firearm. I was pleased there. But this took it further and said that you don't have a right just to own.
Yeah, right.
Like, you don't have just to keep.
Yep.
It's keep and bear, which means carry. And they finally nailed that. And they say, in states like California and New York, which are May issue, which is bullshit. Like, May issue is just another.
You know what I have to do to get a concealed carry out here in California? I have to.
Yeah, you have to be rich and white.
No, I have to prove my life here as well. And I'm not.
You don't.
Rich.
No,
but this is the part down. But I'm not rich.
but that's the point I'm making is you don't actually have to prove that your life's in danger. What you have to do is grease the right palms, do the right favors, be the right guy. Because the standard says you have to prove that your life's in danger. But look at who gets these things. Yep. Celebrities, brother-in-laws.
Just published the fucking list accidentally of who's got a concealed carry out here.
Yeah, I know. But that's like a whole thing. It's like, there should be a standard. If you meet the criteria, you get a fucking license. It shouldn't be up to some asshole who gets to decide. It should just be, this is the standard. You meet the standard, you get it. And so I was happy with that. But I think there's a lot of other shit that he set up in there that it looks like he's going after.
Well, it looks like, in my opinion, he was preempting all the shit that's trying to get pushed through the Congress and the Senate right now.
I think, the red flag stuff, like he looked at like the treatise of Northampton or whatever. Like, he pretty much destroyed a lot of that shit I was happy about. A lot of prior restraint stuff, which is like kind of red flag law. So like I'm down with that. And then the abortion, like, that is an issue that pushed me to the right. Like, I was pro-choice for most of my life.
Same.
And it was, I really was like, it's not my problem. It's not my thing. I would never do it, but I don't think it's my business.
Yep.
But like, that was because like, I was like, it's safe and rare, and they would never just do it just because I just saw too many like abortion cakes and celebrations and fucking people telling me that, it was good.
It would have been left alone, right? If it wasn't for the abortion on demand crowd going after the fucking Mississippi. Like, I spent all of the weekend reading that fucking 213 pages. I read the whole thing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't, we would not be in this position right now in this country if the abortion on demand crowd, which means abortion at any time, didn't go after Mississippi's 15-week law, which throughout the rest of the world that they like to cite is all between about 14 and 16 weeks is when everyone's okay with an abortion, right? That wasn't good enough. They specifically went after the 15-week mark in Mississippi. And that was that was the whole origin of the Dobbs thing. And that's where we're at now. And
it was the numbers. I mean, it was the numbers. Like, cause when I was pro-choice, I didn't look into it, and then when people started confronting me with like how many fetuses were aborted, like how many children were killed, I was like, fuck. And then again, like the percentage and for what cause, because you think like, it's just for, women who are like for medical emergency and for rape and incest, and then you find out that
which I don't think anyone would argue against, and I don't think there's actually a law that does argue against that. Right?
There are laws actually that have not made provisions of exception for those items, which I think is
take place now that the individual states have to lobby for that, right?
I don't think so. Like, I can tell you, like, I'm from Texas, and to my knowledge,
I mean, you're about to have work, bro. Like, come on, Texas is lost.
I mean, not in that case,
dude. I will.
I'm not moving back there. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and defend. I'm just saying their abortion. Their abortion.
Texas.
Their abortion law. Yeah, but their abortion law is pretty base. Like, it is exceptionally fuck you to abortion.
I saw
Um,
Tennessee's. I don't know if you tell me if Texas is worth. I just read this about Tennessee. Like Tennessee 6 weeks.
Dude, in Texas, you can sue them in civil court for performing it.
Oh,
Like, yeah, it's legit, and there's no exceptions in there. Again, made for fucking anything. So yeah, it's some of these state laws are pretty, like, I don't like abortion. Period. I don't know. I
I don't
mean,
know.
if it was up to me, like, I think,
And I always talk about, so like I dealt with this, right? My daughter, I have a daughter. She's 16
right,
now, about to be 17. And
good looking kid too.
yeah, and thank you. Doesn't look like me, which is good. God. Anyway, and no, like this was early 2005. When I found out, like her mom and I literally had that was a legit conversation because we
Yeah,
knew we were not going to be together long term. Like we were
right,
already on the outs, right? So we knew we weren't in a position to be like a married couple. Financially at 25 years old, I wasn't in the best position.
right.
Neither was she. And yeah, I literally remember calling my mom when I was at work on a break, like telling her that we were pregnant. And like, dude, I fucking broke down because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. Like it wasn't a happy
Yeah,
moment. It wasn't happy.
right.
And yeah, I mean, we were together for a few months after she was born, but we couldn't, there was no way we ever considered like
Me neither.
consequences, right? Like, it's just like,
Yeah,
what? We're going to make the best of this. I know we probably aren't going to be together. I knew that in my mind. I was like, we're probably not going to be together long term, but I would never live with myself making that decision.
right. Yeah,
And
I mean,
I look
I
back and
live.
my daughter's fucking awesome. Right? Like, and it hasn't kept me from doing one fucking thing in my life. Hasn't kept me from doing one thing. Maybe one thing, it's kind of along with what you went through. Like I remember being 27 years old before I went to drill sergeant school. I was like, let me go do this SF shit. And I was going through some shit with her. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to have that be used against me as always trying to do the best thing for my military career. So I'll just be a dad. And I was cool with that. And I don't regret not going that pathway.
Shouldn't regret it.
No, I don't. Because it was the right decision in the moment, but it's also the best decision long term. And now my daughter is on a road trip with my parents through fucking Montana right now. And she'll be here in a few days. And like, that's
great.
That's what I live for. Right. So yeah, I'm sorry. I 100% understand. And you can tell me all the cases and the situations that you want, but you're not going to sway me.
When the judge was conceived.
I love that you. There's got to be a story behind that too.
There is. I'm not going to share it though. But like when he was conceived, I was 2 years from graduating. I was working at a hardware store, going to school full time on GI Bills, broke as fuck. Like had no money.
Yep.
Like his mother was working. We were living together. Kind of the same situation, and we were trying to make it work. And we stayed together like for quite a long time for his sake. And then when we split amicably. We did so here with her support network. She lives very close to me. When we talk to his teachers, they're surprised that we're not together because we co-parent so well. I have exactly 50% custody. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. I couldn't imagine not doing it. And so, like, when I hear people talk about like, oh, I couldn't afford it, I'm like, you'd be broke and it would suck.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
That's
and like you never know who you're raising. You might raise somebody that changes the world. And that's the best gift that you could give anything. Like, I'm probably not gonna cure cancer anytime soon. What if my son does? Like, like what if something happens? Like, you got to think about like this stuff. And I get it. Like, it's a tough burden. Parenting is hard. I don't think that it's easy. But like, yeah, with the abortion thing again, like, I think if it just hadn't been at the scale that they did it, and if it hadn't been on for the reasons that they used,
you're absolutely right.
Like, if it would have been just relegated to like these edge cases, these emergencies, these like terrible things that happen to women, if they'd have kept it there, it would have stayed there. Yeah. But instead, again, like, it was, Comedy Central salute to abortion. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all fucking lost me. Like, I'm out. Like, it's over. Yeah. And so, yeah, when that got struck down, I was happy. And yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, but that's my thing though. Like, I love from the time I really got into politics, because I mean, my bachelor's degree was in political science. Like, I really fell in love with the idea of like fucking foreign policy and all that shit because of Iraq. And then I eventually, like, we already talked about this shit earlier, but that's the only reason, right? But I love the idea of federalism. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we have 50 fucking
No,
states. Why do they all need to be the fucking same? And there's an old adage, like, people vote with their feet. Well, now more than ever, if you want to vote with your feet, do it. Go move to the fucking state. And that's why I can't stand like these governors coming out like, we're going to make this, we need you to know that we support you. Great. You don't need to make that known. Like, that's your power as a fucking governor. You don't have to broadcast it. Like, Newsom out here in California, he's like making all these fucking proclamations and shit. It's like, bro, you've been empowered. Why do you have to act like you're not? Like, they've made you more of what you want to be. Like, the fucking overseer.
Now you get to be the Mecca.
Yeah, like, be it, bro. Like, you are, as a state governor, you are supposed to be empowered to run and oversee that state. And the federal government just said, like, look, we cede this power to you to do whatever the fuck you want to do. And then I get it. It's not the governor. It's supposed to be the voters who eventually.
I mean, he signs a bill. Like, that's how it works. He's still,
right.
If the people of that state support it, then they should be able to pass a bill and sign it. Like, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the only difference, and I'm sure that there's like somebody maybe that listens to this that's like a liberal. I don't know if you've wrote them all off or not, but let's assume there is. And I'm sure they're like, how do you support states' rights for abortion, but you don't support states' rights in the licensure and carry of firearms? And I'll say, there is an enumerated, protected natural rights, the second fucking one we thought of. Like, the dudes were sitting around making a Bill of Rights after they drafted the Constitution. Like, they had plenty of time afterwards to think about it too. Constitution's drafted, they got a fucking Bill of Rights. They're like, fucking, hey, what are we thinking of here? And the first dude's like, I want to be able to say what the fuck I want. I want to be able to go to church if I want. I want to be able to hang out with my homies if I want. I want that kind of shit. And they're like, all right, that's the first one. Let's write that down. Next, like, the Northerners are like, I want an individual right to carry a fucking gun to be able to shoot the fucking king. And they're like, cool. And the Southern guy's like, hey man, I got these people that I'm kind of trying to oppress. I want a gun too. And they're like, all right, cool. We'll compromise. We'll make this thing. We'll draft this like really fucked up statement, but it'll cover both of y'all. Got you. And that's what we ended up with. We ended up with a shittily, like, terrible written Second Amendment, but it is an amendment that says you can keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. Like,
and you know what the great part about that shitty fucking written thing is like, you have a process to amend it and no one wants to do it.
Can't do it.
Just do it.
46 states have a protected Second Amendment in their state constitution.
Not even that. Like, I'm just talking about fine. If you really feel that strong,
they won't.
Go ahead, fucking bro. Go get.
But they can't.
States. Let's go do it. Go get them.
They can't.
Actually, 3/4.
They
right?
can't.
3/4. Go get it. Go do it.
They have to. Yeah, they have to get 3/4, and then they have to get it ratified by a number of state legislatures, which is where.
Why bother, right? Let's just fucking fundraise and keep each other at arms, or not at arms, but let's not do that. Let's keep each other at fucking whatever conflict with each other instead of actually
because it funds campaigns. But that's the whole point. Is like it's not going away.
Nope.
There's 400 million firearms in circulation. There's 40 million of those 400 are AR-15s or assault rifles. Like, the shit's sticking around. You ain't doing a fucking thing about it.
What's up? Like, love it.
Pass all the laws you want. Like,
yeah, I love it. And well, that's why I said, like, it doesn't matter what Congress and the Senate are doing right now, because Thomas just came out and was like, it's all unconstitutional, bro. It's a cool story. It ain't gonna last. Right. Yeah. And that's what I meant, because, like, well, whatever. Anyway, I wanted to end on that. And I feel like you left us with a good thing to talk over, because it's not just like a blanket statement about, I support this. It's actually supported with individual experience, mine and yours. Like, we went through, we experienced this. Like, we're not just dudes who didn't have children or have never been in that position, or just like, yeah, fucking pro-life. What's up? Don't know. It's pro-life and only. No, like, we had to combat that actual decision and actually think it through and realize that, hey, our life's probably going to suck for a while, but we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to make the best of it for our kids. And that's what I'm cool with. And you know what, to bring it full circle, everything that we talked about with that, there's not a single doctor in this country who would actually say no to all those things that people point to when it comes to the extreme in those instances and situations. It's still going to take care. It's still going to happen. It's still going to happen. So there we go. That's the Gruntpa. So you can find him on Twitter at just put in Gruntpa. His full name on Twitter is motherfucking Gruntpa. Like, I don't know how he does. I still don't know how you do that with the text. I don't know. I don't even want to know. It's
trade secrets.
Yeah, it looks cool. I've seen some other people do it, but I don't want to know. I just think it looks cool. His actual name is The Votary, and then you can figure out how to spell that because there's numbers in there. And he has the website at digitaldropzone.com. And hopefully he stops being so like
lazy
of himself, and he actually does write some stuff, because he's a very learned man, and he's worded, and he can write and talk. So hopefully he does that. What's this that he's holding up? What do you got there?
Oh no, I was just closing up. I take notes sometimes, but I'm just closing my notes. But you
took notes tonight?
No, I had it just in case I was. But anyway, I'm a dork. We don't have to talk about this at the end. You were on a good run. Closing it down.
You just did 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you had a notebook. I'm curious. What's in that notebook?
There's not. I mean, that's the thing. Is I had it, and I didn't use it. Like,
well,
it's not even. Yeah, I mean, anyway. Dude, I broke up your like good closeout. Like, you had a good closeout going, and I distracted you with something shiny.
All right, so there you go. The Gruntpa. Follow him. He's good people. All right, let's hit this button. Oh my God, I always fuck this up. Is it this button? Let's try this one.